The NFL draft is over. It's time to give some grades and evaluate. Did our teams do their jobs? The Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital live on a Monday, starts right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. 'Cause when it's born, it's always coming through. If Boy Green is always on the scene, it was gonna always bring to life. So get ready, get ready, 'cause here they come.
All right, welcome aboard, everybody. It is indeed Monday. I don't know what's going on with my days of the week. It's been a long weekend, I guess they say. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. We are presented by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. Unbelievable what they do. NERPCNY.com. It is certainly now that time of year to have your roof looked at, or maybe you're going to have it replaced. So do that today. Our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals, servicing DeWitt and Fayetteville and the surrounding areas. Give them a call, see if they can take care of your roof, or at least have them over for an estimate. Great people, and we greatly appreciate their sponsorship of our show. All right, it's the Man-Child along with Boy Green. Welcome back, Boy Green. Welcome back from the NFL draft. It was, as I could tell from the pictures and many of the videos that we posted on our channel. I know you were posting separately on Boy Green Daily, all kinds of stuff from the draft. And people, listen, people love the draft. We got tons of views on all of the videos that we posted, even the simplest, most mundane things. Here's a little sign, here's a little, look at a spot here around the draft. And people are very, very intrigued, obviously, by the NFL draft. And man, dare I say, usually you say this kind of figuratively, but you literally got a front row view of the NFL draft. I mean, you literally, if you put your head back and then sprung forward, you can literally spit on Roger Goodell when he was making those picks. That's how close you were. So in a general sense, I know you have many, many stories that you could share, and we'll leak out a few during the show today. But what was the experience being first to your first NFL draft? I hate to say, you're absolutely spoiled. This is your first one, and now this is the way you do it. At least you should have waited till your second or third before did something this unbelievable. But give me your thoughts about the surrealness of literally being feet from the commissioner as he's calling out all these names, including, of course, at the number 2 pick, the name of the pick for the Jets, David Bailey. Let's talk about that. What was that like?
Yeah, so, shout out to Lou B, who has done some stuff with us at the tailgate last year and a lot of other stuff. He told me about this Pitt thing, and in my head, I sort of understood generally what he was talking about, but to actually see it, and I'm glad I had the camera rolling. So you line up in this separate line for the special group that you're in, and you go through all these security checkpoints. Boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. And then we're coming around a bend, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be the draft. So I turn on the camera to see my point of view and what people are going to see. And I came around, and suddenly you're just there after you go all these winding turns they have you going through, and then just pow, out of nowhere. It's sort of like Pittsburgh. I thought of you when I was coming into Pittsburgh the first time, because you say that about Pittsburgh. It's that you're driving, it's just Pittsburgh. And then boom, you make a turn and you see all the buildings and the skyscrapers and everything that they got over there. You're like, wow, that came out of nowhere. So the drafts are my face of jaw on the floor, oh my goodness. And it's almost like I'm trying to think of a good example of something I guess a concert, but most people know where they're sitting. But a concert where you come around a corner and then you're going down and then you're like, wow, this is pretty close. And then you look at your phone, you're like, oh, I'm closer. And you keep getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then you recognize where your seat is and you're just like, whoa. Because the 32 teams that are all in front of the draft stage, they're somewhat they are by division. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. We're all in a cluster. But which one is in the front versus which one is in the back? I assume that's probably all, 100%, just randomness. So we're the front left pod right to the stage. To your point, you said if I went, I could have spit on the draft stage. It was right there. And that to me was just like an overwhelming, like, no way. And when Roger Goodell comes out for the first pick and legends, they're bringing Hall of Famers out. It's just, you're in disbelief. Like, Johnny Boy said this, I think he either called me when I was driving back or something, that because Johnny Boy and Lou B got back, a couple of the guys that went with me to the draft.
Saturday.
They went back Saturday, so they were in their normal lives while I was still at the draft. And Johnny Boy was telling me, man, it's hard to get back to my normal life after the high of highs that was like the draft. We were just on TV, and now I'm just supposed to be a normal guy doing my normal job. Like, it's hard to get back from that high. And I didn't feel it till today because, Lurch, you called me over the weekend, and you said, like, is your voice hoarse from screaming, or is it
throat? Yeah,
did you get sick or something?
Yeah.
And you said that, and I hadn't thought about it. I assumed it was just me yelling at the draft. But then I woke up with a little, and I'm like, oh no. So I left my house and just walked down. Luckily, I live right next to all these stores. So I went down to the local gas station, grabbed a pack, whatever they are. They're in my pocket. What are they? The Halls.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Cough drops. Okay.
Yeah, cough drops. And I take them. And as I'm just walking, I had that same realization as Johnny Boy. Like, I was just on TV doing Jet Chance, and people were sending me texts of videos of where I am.
Hey,
and
you're on TV.
Yeah, and now
on TV. I don't know if you realize this. You guys were easily on TV a dozen times. Like,
I have no idea. So whatever you're telling me, I had no idea how many times.
And I think a lot of times what they're doing is, they're shooting you and that crew, chanting JETS or doing some kind of screaming and yelling, but mostly the Jet chant. And then they're just playing it back later, coming back from a break or whatever, and then you see, so it feels like it's live. But I know some of that just because I know television. I used to be in television. They'll tape a little piece like that and then use it, to set up a segment, on the clock coming up, the Jets, and they give the Jets chant, so rather than time that perfectly and then risk that it doesn't come out right, you tape it, you got it, good, all right, we'll use it, and then you just take that little segment, exactly how long it's going to be, you control the length of it, and then you bring it back to the host. That's why recording stuff, if anybody that's ever seen like an open to a college football game before we go to the play-by-play guys and they're showing video and you hear a narration, that's all pre-recorded. They're not going to do that live unless they had to, unless something happened, something went wrong. I have in my TV career actually had to do those kinds of things live, and that's not ideal to do it that way, because if the wrong piece of tape rolls, if something goes wrong, if you don't read it correctly, all of a sudden you have a little bit of a problem or a hiccup that you don't want. So by recording it, in case something goes wrong, you could do a second take, but whatever, and you get it right. And then you also know, boom, it's a minute. Boom, it's 30 seconds.
Yes,
boom, it's this amount of time. And they plan this so that, again, it leads right up to the game. You want that to be really well timed. All right, kick off. Here we go. And then the play-by-play starts. So same thing for the draft. There's a lot of timing here with the hosts on ESPN, with the commissioner, and when he's delivering those picks and so on and so forth. So, having that stuff timed out as well. And I think they did a lot of that stuff recorded, but they just kept playing it back, and it was different ones every time. I was like, there he is there. There he is over there. There he is over there. I'm like, Boy Green is everywhere. This is insane. Like,
which, by the way,
great seats, but he's all over television. My goodness.
Yeah. And speaking of a television thing, I haven't said this anywhere. So this is a Manchild Show exclusive. Okay. So we're doing all these Jet chants and everything. And then I think it was on day one. It could have been day two. A bunch of suits and ties come over to us and say, hey, do you want to sign this? We'd love to market, utilize all these Jet chants and all your guys' craziness for the 2027 NFL draft. But basically, we need you to sign your life away right here, and you're not getting a penny, but we're going to use you and give us your basically NIL for the 2027 NFL draft. And all of us were like, hell yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So we did do that. So so if you see me in the future, if I see myself on TV when I'm just watching this thing for the build up to the 2027 NFL draft, they did use that. So that's cool. And Lurch, here's another thing. We haven't talked about this anywhere, and you would only know if you're at the draft. I almost was confused. So I think this was on day two. All the days blend together. But they announced to us, hey, Roger Goodell is about to come announce a pick, but it's not real. This is for a future movie. And so Roger Goodell comes out to the stage and comes up to the podium and announces the Cleveland Browns select, I think it was Ohio State quarterback Connor Rourke. And I'm like, is this a draft day movie?
Right. Yeah.
Is this a sequel coming
Oh,
up in the future? So there's a little bit of an exclusive. I don't know how much
wow.
that is out there on social media, but like there is some, I would assume draft day, but maybe it's something else. I don't know. But they suggested it's some scripted thing like, yeah, people, this isn't a real pick about to happen here. They announce it. And then so they'd get a genuine, I guess, crowd reaction with them
Yeah.
actually walking up to the podium and actually going through it. So, oh my God, there was something I haven't told that to anyone else either. So, like,
Wow.
that's another thing that happened during
It's
the draft, which
crazy.
was super cool. Yeah.
Shooting movie clips in the middle of the draft in order to
Wild.
make it more realistic. That's fantastic.
Mm.
Again, you take advantage. I mean, obviously, you and I have been to Pittsburgh, so you're
Yes.
familiar literally with the ground that draft was on. We were walking in that and around that very space, essentially, that area where they actually put the stage is actually a parking lot for the side
Yeah.
of Acrisure Stadium, right by the giant Steeler shop, which I parked in that parking lot to go in and buy some items one Father's Day at that Steeler shop. So I know precisely, literally, the exact ground that you were walking on and you were sitting on for that draft.
Yeah.
Well, how, look, we were there before anything and everything. So what was your just overall impression of how Pittsburgh put this together, what it looked like, what it felt like being on the ground, just a general sense? That space, which is beautiful. It sits right down there on the rivers. Was it as nice? What did you think about the job that the NFL did in terms of putting that space together for an NFL draft? It looked phenomenal on television. Phenomenal.
That's great to hear because I told any Steeler fan I ran into, because I there was a lot of them there, certainly,
Sure, of course.
that they were a terrific host city. I thought the NFL and Pittsburgh came together and really just did a marvelous job. Again, to your point, I had walked those same streets and park pre all the crap that they put around, outside of obviously the on the clock thing, which I did a short for that I think went up
Yep.
on the MC
I
Show
posted that. Yep.
digital channel about we did a video in front of that clock of like, well, the draft's going to be here in like a year or something.
Yeah, last
And
summer
then
we came to a baseball game.
yeah, there you go. So it was a bunch of
May or
months.
June of last year, maybe June of last year, we came to Pittsburgh with the interns and me and you. We went to a baseball game, and then I said, let's walk down to Acrisure. It's just down this little walkway that's right along the river. And it's just a short walk, maybe a 10-minute walk, and then boom, there it is. And so we walked around that space. There was a country show. Tickets were being sold for a country show there that day. So that was kind of walled off. We didn't go into Acrisure area, but we were right outside the stadium, and that's where they had that sign. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, right. And they just did a wonderful job of having these experiences. There was autograph booths. There was photo opportunities. So they had all these selfie stations, which were interesting. They had 1 million of these around Acrisure. They sort of built, again, in Dallas, it's called like the Star. It's like this Frisco thing, like around the stadium. There's like a community that exists, and you mosey through it to get to the actual stadium. So for the draft, they created that same outer belt of like experiences. There's picture taking, there was food, there was shops. I went in one of them, I dipped into the shop. They said this is like the, one of the coolest autograph memorabilia stores like in Pittsburgh, but it was like a stand-up tent. And I was going through going, oh my goodness gracious, the things that jerseys, helm, but again, the prices were out of this world. Crazy. And so by the way, so was everything, right? So like a bottle of water at the draft was $8.
Oh my God.
So yeah, you unfortunately,
the Masters, they are not. It's not Augusta, Georgia.
No. So yeah, I haven't talked about the concession prices anywhere, but yeah, so like waters were $7 or $8. A lot of it was nuts, and I was just, but like and even like for instance, right? So I've got a family at home, so I wanted to surprise them with gifts. So things I bought for them there, I have absolutely no doubt I paid 200% market price over if I just left the city and bought that same thing somewhere else. Like my daughter, of course they had this. I did one more loop around. I'm like, let me just see if there's anything else I could get the kids before I leave. And I wish I had it so I could show you. We could play prices right here. I don't know where it is. So I get it. Okay. There's, we'll try to play price right here. I wish I could show you the item. It would make it even better.
All
but
right.
there is a little bear. It's about, I don't know, like 8 inches maybe. It's got an NFL draft hat on, a little NFL draft thing in its hand. And it's wearing like an NFL draft t-shirt. It's a teddy bear. Okay. Yeah. I bought one of those. How much do you think that is?
I mean, in normal world, maybe that's $20 or $25, but not in draft world. Oh my God. All right. I'll guess $60.
Okay, so it's $45.
Okay, I went over.
So
Okay.
40. No, but you nailed it. Like in my head, if I was to buy that norm 20, $25, I'm like, all right. But it was $45. So okay.
100% markup on that one. Okay.
Yeah,
That's not
100%.
awful. Not awful.
So I'm looking around. So I get that, but I'm like, I'm not buying 2 of these things for like $100. I just refuse. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, kids. I don't love you that much, apparently. Like there's no way. But I say there's got to be something else. So I
Yeah.
spin around and I see a logo that I recognize. I'm like, no way. Why would that be here? I come around a bend. There's a Build-A-Bear, and I'm like, and of course it's loaded with NFL
Build-A-Bear
teams,
last week
draft picks, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And so I go in there and yeah, it's full Build-A-Bear. I'm like, all right. So I get a bunny, put a Jets jersey on it. You can record a voice, give it the JETS channel, all that.
God.
So bing, boom, bam, get that. Okay. So a bunny, full size stuffed animal, whatever you want to call it. It's not like the size of me, but it's a normal, size stuffed animal with a jersey and a voice recording. How much you think that was?
Oh my God. I mean, Build-A-Bear, I've been in Build-A-Bear. It's been a long time, but I've been in Build-A-Bear before, and they're expensive to begin with. That's just if you go to the mall, Build-A-Bear. Yeah. Now you take it down to the draft. Oh, I'm scared of this number, but all right. I went high in the last one, so I'll kind of lower my expectations here in terms of the unbelievable markup. I'm gonna say $95.
$105.
Okay, over 100. Yep, that's
so. But like, what are you supposed to do? You get to the end of the rainbow, they're like this. I'm like, actually, rip the voice box out of there. There's no way. So you're already pot committed. So yeah, so the prices were insane, but I thought the city and the NFL obviously working together just did a phenomenal job. That there was just always something going on. If you were just a nerd and you wanted to watch the draft and every pick, they highlighted it during the draft. This is stuff that I imagine does not make TV. But it's like a thing for the local TV of us being there. Like there's hosts, Cynthia Freeland, Colleen Wolfe, Rondé Barber were like host in between Goodell hosting picks. And there was a guy, a Bills fan in the front row that had a notebook and he was writing down every pick that happened during the draft and whether it was traded or not. And he was keeping track of it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But then they have like NFL Network, ESPN, food vendors, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, they had an activity no matter what was going on, which was super cool. So shout out to Pittsburgh. They did a marvelous job.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, man, okay. I mean, there's lots of stories still to share, and
of course,
I do. We'll continue. We'll be back live again on Wednesday, so we can let some more stories out. Matt will be joining us. I'm sure he'll want to hear some of the ins and the outs. So we won't expunge the whole show today on Boy Green stories at the draft, but it just looked like and felt like a great experience. The weather Thursday and Friday was absolutely pristine. I mean, it was 75 and sunny, or maybe even close to 80. I mean, wow, everybody was just in T-shirts and shorts. I was like, wow, what a way to experience the draft. Because Pittsburgh, you don't know. It could be iffy, certainly in the month of April. You don't know. You could get 40 and rain coming in sideways in April. That's not highly unusual. But now I mean, the gods were in their favor. And like I said, when they were showing drone shots and wide shots with all the cameras that they have at the draft of the space, of the surrounding area, of the city skyline, I don't know from where you were, Paul. I'm sure as you meandered about, but I had told you about they had taken like this 12-story hotel. I think it was the Wyndham, and they turned the whole side of it into literally like a TV screen / billboard, and it had giant NFL draft along the side of it, and then logos for the teams, and that was within an eye's view of Point Place Park, which is where the fan zone was, that little island that sits there right between the three rivers that has the 100-foot fountain that had recently been repaired and was readied for the draft. So the city just really did it up. Phenomenal. I heard it was 2 years in planning. And by the way, we talked before the draft about numbers. They projected that about 700,000 people were going to descend upon Pittsburgh for this draft. The final tally is in, and it was over 800,000 people. I think it was like 810 or 815,000 people was what I was reading in some of the Pittsburgh publications about how many people actually descended upon the city for the NFL draft. So that is a lot of people in a very, very small space, but it felt great just watching it on TV and seeing it. It didn't feel like, oh, this is untenable. This is like, these people, what are they even doing there? This is horrible. It looked phenomenal. It looked exciting, and it's they do such a good job on television with the coverage and all of the shots that you get to see and the way that they mix it up, and then all of the analysis as well. It's really, really well done production across the entire 3 days. Really, really good job by ESPN and ABC, I guess, were kind of the anchors of the whole thing, and NFL Network as well, I guess.
Yeah, right. So, again, they did a marvelous job. No matter what, again, obviously, yeah, I was in the pit. That was some special, cool stuff. But I thought no matter where you were, the NFL, they did a tip of the cap for you. If you were out in the deep sea of people, they brought players out there on the stage and they just threw shirts into the crowd. Or, there was other opportunities where you could meet some of the family members of the draft people. So I just thought no matter where you were, you would have had a really good experience. And that's the point.
By the way, we did draw while you were gone for our raffle prize for last month. Again, the 22nd is draw day, which was our last week's Wednesday show when you were on the road and on your way to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And T-Town Jet, who stuffed the ballot box, he had 5 times as many raffle tickets as anyone else. Pretty smart. Did indeed win the Dan Aykroyd harmonica and the NCAA Syracuse cover when they won the national championship, the Sports Illustrated magazine. So those are packed and ready to be shipped out here. I'll get them out today or tomorrow to T-Town. I got all his information. He reached out and contacted me directly. So I've got all his info. So that's going out to him. That means a new month, Boy Green. That means new prizes. Go ahead.
Well, before that, let me give a shout out to T-Town Jet. Nice. Okay. Beautiful.
Well done. Well done. So very intriguing, interesting item, certainly. So there'll be some interesting ones here in the beginning, in the beginnings of our raffles, because a lot of these things, as I told you, I'm kind of pulling out of my archives in my closet and just saying, hey, I'm going to give away some stuff to the people who have supported us all these months. By the way, we're at 885 subscribers now. We are on a march to get to 1,000. That's kind of a big number in the YouTube world, and it gives us some privileges that we don't have without having that many subscribers. So again, please do what you can to pass the word along. If you're not already a subscriber, just pop the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. And no obligation, so to speak. It's just a great way to support the channel and to get our brand out to others. So we're 115 away from 1,000. That's not too bad. I think we can get there before we get to our 1-year anniversary, which would be the end of June. I think July 1st.
Got a little bit of time.
I think we started doing videos around July 1st and then really, really picked up steam maybe a few weeks after that. So I think our anniversary date, I'll just leave it at July 1st for starting off this digital thing. Again, not much of an anniversary for us because we've been doing this together for, 10 years or roughly 10 years, and I've been doing it for almost 25. So it's.
But we should still commemorate it, Lurch,
we appreciate this and this whole new universe and this whole new thing that we're now doing that includes a video element to it where you can see us and you can talk to us directly in this way. It's really pretty cool. So anyway, again, punch the like button if you're a ready subscriber, and also membership is available as well. So that leads me to this month's raffle. Because of the prizes that I'm giving away, except for one that I have right nearby here, are too large, Boy Green, for me to show on this. What I'm going to
take a picture, I guess.
What I'm going to do is later today. I'm sorry, I was seeking out what we were going to give away before we got live today, and I just didn't have enough time.
And then I can flash it on screen if you take a picture.
Because I'm going to have to mount them on a wall. I kind of find a room in my house so I can put them on a wall and my wife doesn't go crazy. And then I will take pictures of them. But we are giving away essentially 2 life-size wall posters. They are made of like a vinyl material. So this isn't paper. They aren't made of paper. They're made of a very rugged, like vinyl material.
That lasts.
That's the way. It's almost like if you can imagine, folks, wallpaper. If you've ever put up wallpaper in any of your house, parents had wallpaper. It's of that kind of material. It's like a vinyl. Okay. And so they've lasted forever. I've had these posters for easily 20 years. Okay. And so it might be even longer than that. And they are both of the head coach of the Syracuse basketball team, Jim Boeheim, now retired. So I should say head coach emeritus, so head coach retired. Boeheim was in charge of this program for over 45 years. Played for the team before that, was an assistant coach in between playing and becoming the head coach. So he's an absolute legend here in Syracuse. We have a lot of Central New York and Syracuse subscribers. So I've had these posters. They were on our wall in our studio for years and years. One of them is autographed. It was actually autographed to Bud. It says to Bud, and then Jim Boeheim wrote a message and then wrote Jim Boeheim. That autograph is fading a little bit, but you can see it on the poster, but it's not what it once was because it's sitting on a wall for a long time.
Sure.
So it is autographed. One of the two posters is autographed.
Yeah, something like I'm always watching you or something.
Yeah,
something
right. Yeah, always right. Yeah, Bud, always watching you, Jim Boeheim. I think you're right. I think you got it. That's what he said.
Okay.
So he was in one day, and I said, "Hey, Coach, would you autograph the poster on the wall?" At the time, we only had one of the posters on the wall, and so he autographed it to Bud. I don't know why. To Bud, I'm always watching you, Jim Boeheim. All right. So one of them is autographed by Jim Boeheim, and the other is not. But they are two life-size photos. One is like his whole body, head to toe, and then the other one is kind of like a waist-up shot, and it's even tighter. So I will take pictures of these two, but we're going to give away those two posters, vinyl posters together, along with, I'm going to throw in this wonderful, this is a laser etched or laser engraved, as they call it, 12th MC glass. It is on both sides, laser engraved. All right.
You can really see it when a drink is in there.
Yeah, really cool. When a beer's in there, right? It really, really looks cool. As a matter of fact, I just got really cool ones for myself. I don't know. I've been, doing all this shop stuff, Boy Green.
Sure.
I'm so involved in the MC show shop and trying to make that something that's worthwhile to people that might want to promote the brand. And again, if you want, you can throw up the Etsy link.
It is in the YouTube description down below as well.
Always in our videos, but there's where our shop is. Okay, not that you have to type that whole thing in. Just search MC Show Digital Shop in Etsy, and you'll find it. All right,
or just click
Etsy is our home. It's a nice little storefront for us. Makes it really easy to purchase stuff. You can do credit card. You can do PayPal. You can do really easy, really points of purchases, really, really easy, which is why we decided to use Etsy as the front of our shop. We have about, I think we have 5 or 6 items in our shop now. And we'll be expanding that. As a matter of fact, Matt in Auburn was asking about hoodies, and I told him we're really going to probably put out hoodies in the fall. I designed them. I already actually have a test hoodie that I've on the air.
The perks.
I'll bring that to the table so that you can see what our hoodies are going to look like. I got one in black, but we can get them in like 6 or 7 different colors. So we'll make them available to you as well as the weather cools down later in the summer for the fall. But anyway, so check out the shop. It's right there. And you can buy items to help support the channel. That's another way to support us and a way to walk around with the brand on your
chest. He uses his glass every day. He keeps it in the freezer for ultra cool temperatures.
Love
Very
it.
nice.
Love it. That's always good with the pint glass to put it in the freezer, and then you put the drink in there, whether it's beer or soda, whatever you drink. That's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
I used to love that. I used to go to this pool hall in Queens when I lived down there.
Frosted mugs?
Yeah, they did the frosted mugs. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So you go to the pool hall, and then I would get a root beer in a frosted mug, right? So they'd give you an ice cold root beer, and then they'd give you like a big mama frosted mug, and you pour that root beer in there, and the root beer get the big head just like a regular beer.
Sure.
And man, I would go to that pool hall just to go get the root beer. I was like so, just in love.
There's nothing like a cold drink, like frozen Antarctic cold. Oh, it's delicious.
Awesome. So, all right, bringing back some great memories of the pool hall days, Manchild, down on Bell Boulevard in Bayside, Queens, where we used to play some pool. That was a lot of fun with the fellas. All right, anyway.
So, Lurch, real quick. So, the items, once again, are 2 Jim Boeheim vinyl-like
full size, life-size vinyl posters. And the 12th MC etched mug. All right. So that's going to be this month's prize pack.
Can you explain how does if someone wanted to get involved and they wanted a chance to win these fabulous prizes you just said, which are given away on the 22nd of every month, what do they have to do? How do they do it?
It's right there below in the scrolling ticker, but that's actually our membership. If you flip that over to our ticker actually probably has all of last month's.
Yeah, so we got to edit that. But still, one way is memberships, but there's other ways. Super chat,
so any super chat, $3 equivalent gets you a ticket. So $3 will get you 1 ticket, $6 will get you 2 tickets, $9 will get you 3 tickets, so on and so forth. You get 2 tickets automatically if you're not already a member and you become a member of the 12th Manchild. It's just $4.99 to become a monthly member, and you'll get 2 tickets bonus for you as soon as you do that. So if you're not a member, become a member. You get yourself 2 tickets, get yourself in there. You can gift memberships. All right. Each membership that you gift is worth 2, but if you reach the plateau of gifting 5 memberships in one shot, we'll double that and we'll give you 20 raffle tickets instead of 10. So 5 would usually be 5 times 2 is 10. We'll give you 20. Also, if you join we have 3 levels of membership. So 12th Manchild, we appreciate anybody that supports us there. Is $4.99, but you can get at the Die Hard level, which is $9.99, or the Hall of Fame level, which is our top level, at $19.99. If you do Die Hard, you'll automatically get 10 tickets in this month's raffle. And if you stay a Die Hard member, you do not have to put any more money back in. If you stay a member next month, you automatically will get another 10. Automatically will get another 10 as long as you stay a Die Hard member. And for Hall of Fame members, same rule to you. All right. You'll get, again, for becoming a Die Hard member, you'll get 20 raffle tickets, and you will get 20 perpetually in every single raffle going forward as long as you stay a member. So as long as you stay on, you get automatic raffle tickets each month just for being a Die Hard member or a Hall of Fame member, which is pretty cool. Also, by the way, if you become a Hall of Fame member, you're going to get into our fantasy football league. It's going to be our first ever Man-Child Show with Boy Green digital fantasy football league. And Boy Green, I was actually spending this weekend while you were away, while the cat's away, the mice will play. And I was checking out some of the amazing WWE championship belt style.
Those are cool.
Championship belts that some fantasy leagues have given away. So I was looking at different ones, and I'll consult with you before we pick it out. But I'm getting close to getting ready to purchase that.
Oh wow!
For our league, so that the winner of our league this year will walk away with a WWE belt, literally over their shoulder, or put it around. You can put it around your waist. All right, so they have all kinds of styles of these things. So I want to get a really nice one.
Quick question on that.
Yep.
So does, I assume we're not doing this league for 1 year and then folding it. So it's going to be this league that keeps coming back after year. Is there a new championship belt every year? Is it like the Stanley Cup, and you get the championship, you take pictures with it, you sleep with it, you shower, that you do whatever the hell you want to do with it, and then when the new champion is crowned, it's like a bestowing, a knighting, or like it is passed on to the next? Like what's the plan there?
I mean, I do kind of love that idea. Like we do stuff like that in our current leagues where we have a trophy, and then that trophy gets a new name put on it every year. So you and I got to decide that. I mean, I hadn't fully decided it. I think it is intriguing to kind of have something forever. It's like, hey, I had the Lombardi trophy. I never have to give it back. All right. Or I have a smaller version. I wonder if we could work that where maybe you get like a smaller version, so to speak, right? Or a different trinket, right? To commemorate, perpetual.
The forever. But for the year or something, you get that.
Right.
Interesting.
And then what would be cool is, again, there's a lot of different styles of these belts. I've already started looking at them, but then you could get different plates on it for each winner. So now you could be wearing it in year 3, and the other 2 winners plus your name would now be on
that
the
makes sense. Keep the history of it.
It's like the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup engraves all the players' names for every Stanley Cup champion, and they just put a new plate, and the whole thing gets surrounded by these plates. So I do like that idea, because it's it helps our league kind of continue to live and breathe. It becomes a living, breathing organism, so to speak,
Yeah, which, by the way, real quick on YouTube, folks, I want to make sure you could be seeing the show in a lot of different places. Streaming live on my YouTube channel, streaming live on the MC Show digital channel, on my Twitter account, but specifically, you want to make sure you're subscribed to this channel in particular. It's youtube.com/@MC Show digital. And how you guys can gift super stickers, super chats, gift channel memberships, join the membership yourself, is make sure you do that. If you're watching on YouTube and you're in the comment section, you guys are firing off comments, right next to it is a little money emoji. Click on that, and then all kinds of options pop up. Super chats, super stickers, gifting channel memberships to thy neighbor. Feel free to exercise that and do that. And if you do that anywhere from now all the way through up until May 22nd, which is my father's birthday, actually. So the 22nd of May coming up.
Your dad's a 22 also.
He is a 22.
22 is back. Holy crap.
And the 22, you won't care much about this next factoid that I share, but his favorite player of all time is Emmitt Smith, who is also 22.
22.
So there's just a lot of 22 action happening there in the universe. Esden Zone, like there's all this 22 in this Esden Zone thing that I've built and done things with my dad. So yeah, that's super important. So anywho, that's the way to get involved, folks. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that little money sign. As long as you do that on the MC Show digital channel, you'll be entered into all of those.
So the raffle has already begun. As a matter of fact, T-Town on Wednesday, Boy Green, even though I hadn't announced, I announced he had won, but I didn't announce the new raffle prizes, already gifted a membership. So he's
Oh,
already
so it's the
in
May
for
raffle.
two.
I
He's
see.
already in for two, and of course, I'll get our Hall of Fame renewing members back in for
Great.
their bit as well,
Of course.
as we get the raffle started for the month of May. Essentially, I mean, we go 22 to 22,
Well, right.
kind of a mid-month to mid-month, but really, it's our May drawing. All right, so I know we're still in April, but we will draw again on May the 22nd. And again, I will take some pictures today so that by Wednesday's live show, we'll be able to to pop up a quick picture of the two Jim Boeheim posters so you can see exactly what they are. All right, and obviously, I already have shown you the laser engraved pint glass that'll come to you as well. Really, really cool. Laser engraved on both sides. So really, really cool items. And again, support the channel by purchasing raffle tickets throughout the month and just do what you can afford. You don't got to overextend yourself, but it's just a lot of fun. You got to be in it to win it. And you never know. I mean, I know T-Town really stuffed that ballot box and he ended up winning. I'm not surprised when you have 5 times as many tickets as everyone else. There's a good chance you're going to win, but you can have that one ticket that wins. Only one wins. Doesn't matter. Your name gets drawn out. You could be the winner. So even one ticket is a contribution, and you could find yourself winning some of these cool prize packs that we're going to do as we continue to move forward. All right, let's do this, BG. I do want to talk about the draft. That's obviously what we've come here to do today. Talk about what the Jets did, talk about what the Giants did. Of course, we're going to have that debate about what the Jets did and what allowed the Giants to do. All right, so we'll do that when we return. Let's just take a quick break first. We'll hear from our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals, and then we're back. More of the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital right after this.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com. All
right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Don't forget to pop that like button as you come into our video. And also, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to our channel as we continue to march towards 1,000 subscribers. All right, Boy Green, let's talk some draft. Look, the draft, as we knew, was not going to start until the second pick. Everybody knew Fernando Mendoza was going to be first. He wasn't even there in person. Obviously, he was at his home out there in, California? Or no, he's down in Florida. And so we got to see his whole family celebrate. But we knew the draft and whatever nuances it was going to have were going to start at pick number 2. And listen, it's funny how things shake because literally for a month, maybe even longer, everyone had Arvell Reese tabbed to go to the Jets. Then just a couple of weeks before the draft, all of a sudden, David Bailey's name is really, really circling. I mean, we had Jake Asman on. He's like, maybe the pundits are just bringing up Bailey to make it more interesting. Maybe it's just a ploy to get us talking about something else, because if you know who the guy's going to be, then there's no point in talking about it, right? And you want people talking about you, right? Any publicity is good publicity, some people would say. So long story short, the talk was not just idle chatter. And as we got closer and closer to the draft, again, it was feeling like that Baker Mayfield thing, where we were hearing it and we're like, nah, they're not going to take him first. And Cleveland's not going to pick him. Come on, they'll take Darnold. And then it just started to swell. And then literally by draft day, Mayfield was favored to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So here we are. We're there. I know that you wanted Reese. I honestly thought the Jets are going to take Reese. Why would they go with Bailey? Reese just seems to have the potentially higher ceiling. I mean, watching him play at Ohio State, he was just an absolute beast. I mean, he was just just from all over the field. I mean, to me, I know the Jets need pass rushers in particular. Yeah. They had a very poor year, rushing the quarterback last year. But I also think it doesn't matter when a guy's just a great football player. And linebackers can blitz from all kinds of areas. They can do all kinds of things. So it isn't just a matter of, well, if Arvell Reese doesn't get, 12 sacks in his rookie season, he hasn't been the guy that you thought he'd be, because he can do so many other things. So I just thought they would go with perhaps the more well-rounded player and see what kind of, how they could kind of develop him as a pass rusher. They did not go that way. They went with David Bailey. And I must say, I really was genuinely surprised. Time will tell who the better player is, but this certainly has potentially opened the Jets up for another one of these sessions of, Oh my God, we did it again. We've done this to ourselves. How many times we're going to do it again? Give me your thoughts. Now that the dust has settled, how are you feeling about the David Bailey pick?
I just have to say, what a cruel twist of fate that Arvell Reese ends up with the Giants. So
We're going to get to that in a minute.
that is hilarious. As the draft was happening, I'm like, no way. And that's funny. So we'll save that conversation for a second. But no, I mean, I was very clear. And I'll even extend beyond. He said maybe it was a month, maybe more. Basically, since the season was over, the overwhelming belief was that Arvell Reese would be the number 2 overall pick to the Jets. So, I mean, it had been, so let's see, January, February, March. I mean, it had been 3 months. I'll call it 2.5 to give a little bit of wiggle room because, we were still trying to figure out, was there a quarterback conversation, all these other things. But yeah, so 2.5 months was like Arvell Reese. And then a 2-week period of David Bailey. We're like, where the hell is this coming from? Like, what's going on? But even still, as we were on draft day, there was a split. There was a lot of very in-the-know people that said it's going to be Reese. There's a lot of very in-the-know people that said it was Bailey. So the fact was so split. Credit to Darren Muji. Like, so many people did not know what they were going to do.
Kept it quiet. Yeah.
And I will tell you, of our 11-man and woman group that was there, we all consensus wanted Reese. We worked on a Reese chant if he was going to be drafted and said, hey, this chant's going to be great. Which, by the way, we could get into this later as we're going through this draft. Every time we huddled to work on a chant for a player we may potentially take, we didn't get that player. So that happened like 3 times. Maybe even, actually, as a matter of fact, it happened 4 times. It happened with every pick that we had. We thought it was going in a different direction, and we didn't have it. But specifically to David Bailey, I think a lot of us were initially disappointed. You didn't see it in our faces because we said we're going to cheer like banshees no matter what they do, and we did. And I said it, days before I left. I wanted Reese, but if they take Bailey, it's not one is going to be a Super Bowl hero and one's going to suck and be a bust. I thought that both players could be really good, and I preferred Reese, but if they went Bailey, I understood. He led college football in sacks last year. The Jets were 31st in sacks last year. Those 2 things make perfect sense. They need a pass rusher. He's the best pass rusher available. And, if David Bailey has 3 sacks week 1, no one's going to care about any of this hoopla that we all wasted a bunch of months talking about. My only concern is run defense with David Bailey. The Jets stink against the run. And if you're not good against the run, that means you're not a 3-down player, which means you're only playing a percentage of the snaps. That shouldn't happen with the number 2 overall pick. Right. It sounds from what AG said in his post-draft presser, they believe whatever run deficiencies exist can be coached out of him, and let's hope that's the truth. But yeah, so he should be a seismic player for the New York Jets and hopefully sacking a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a bit of a risky pick is, he's definitely the more accomplished pass rusher right now. There's no question. The college statistics say so. But there have been a lot of questions about whether he can stop the run. And the Jets, by the way, have the other side. Their other edge is not a great run stopper either in McDonald. So, you've got this, do you want to have bookend, leaks essentially on the right and left side of your defensive line versus getting someone like Reese, who is already an established run stopper and has the potential to be a very good pass rusher, but has not realized that potential yet. Although Ohio State didn't send him a ton either. I mean, again, if you look at the snaps and the amount of times that he was sent and so on and so forth, it would lead you to believe that, these numbers might not be completely in line with what potentially he can do. So, but look, a pick is a pick. The funny thing about the draft, and we've talked about it forever, is we all certainly have our favorites and our thoughts, but the bottom line is none of it matters until they get on the field and we see what they look like in a professional uniform playing against professional players, okay, at the very highest level of the NFL. So I wish nothing but, the best in the world to Jet fans and to David Bailey's success. He may end up being a tremendous success. But if I have to be asked about it, put to the wall today about whether or not I think that draft pick was not the best one they could have made, I'll stick to that at this point. I just think that Reese is a better overall player. I think he could have helped the team in more ways. But, maybe the Jets are going to solve those problems in different ways, and it's not going to matter in the long run.
Yeah, but there's one comment I just want to get to here. Old Jets Johnny, double J in the morning, that apparently I only wanted Arvell Reese because Jake Aspen told me to. I'm following some
That's not
script.
true.
There's some teleprompter behind this computer. Let me tell you something, buddy. Okay, camera on me. Okay, I develop my own opinions. I don't let someone drag me over. And by the way, if someone dragged me over, it wouldn't be Jake Aspen. Okay, Dane Brugler called him the best player in the draft. He ranked 600 players. He called him number one. Arvell Reese is the man, and I'm fine. The Jets have a lot of smart people in their building. They want David Bailey, so be it. I'm the biggest Bailey boy out there in the universe. But don't accuse me, Jets Johnny, of only wanting Arvell Reese because some other person told me to. I respect Jake a lot. He can have his own takes. Hell no. I wanted Arvell Reese because I wanted Arvell Reese because I thought that he could help the Jets. He's good against the run. He has pass rush upside. He had 18.5% pressure rate last season. That's phenomenal. That's why I freaking wanted Arvell Reese. That because Jay told me to. Shut up, Jake Johnny. That's stupid. What a stupid comment.
All right, you don't like that too much, huh?
No, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you've been talking about Reese well before even Jake mentioned him to you, and you and I have talked a lot about the players at the top of this draft and who makes sense. I won't lie. So we get to pick 3. Okay. Jets pick Bailey. Okay. All right. Yeah. Now we're at pick 3. And now my mind begins to wonder, is it even humanly possible that we could go 2 more picks and that both of these 2 teams just decide to go in a different direction? Mm-hmm. And so along come the Arizona Cardinals, who listen, I want to be clear about what I'm going to say here.
Oh boy.
Jeremiah Love is a tremendous player. I absolutely loved him. I would have actually been very, very thrilled if the Giants had taken him at 5, if other pieces came off the board and there weren't other options for the Giants that I think would be, one of the best players in this draft. Okay. Mm-hmm. But under the circumstances, if the draft board fell differently and that all these defensive guys went off initially and he was sitting there outside of quarterback as the top offensive, I would have wanted the Giants to pick him over wide receiver, over the safety, over a lot of other potential picks for the Giants, because I just think he's an amazing weapon. Mm-hmm. But I will say, even in my thoughts of the Giants picking Jeremiah Love, and I think it applies even more so to Arizona, who I think is a team in far more dire straits than the Giants. That roster is porous. They're a bit of a mess. They have a stopgap kind of at quarterback, but he's not even in OTAs right now, or he's not even in the offseason, non-optionals at OTAs. OTAs is later, right? Well, not at OTAs.
Yeah, OTAs. We're about to have rookie minicamp and OTAs coming up.
Okay, that's coming up. But, the voluntary workouts. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I know Jacoby Brissett is not at the voluntary workouts. He had a nice little, Brissett showed very, very good capability.
Sure, good numbers at the end of the year. Yeah.
But it didn't result in a lot of wins because that roster is a disaster. And in all honesty, as much as I value Love and you don't want to let a great player go by, at number 3, I think that was a mistake for Arizona. And I think it will prove to be a long-term mistake for them and for their franchise. Not because Jeremiah Love's going to flop, because I don't expect him to flop, but he may not be as good as we might think he could be early on in his career, because he's playing behind a lousy offensive line with the lousy complement of people around him, and not a great or even a good quarterback behind center. All that stuff affects what the running back can do. So I don't think he's going to flop in the NFL, but I don't think it's going to be proven to be a prudent pick for Arizona at this time. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But he's a tremendous player.
Oh, I love Jeremiah.
And I don't blame them for taking him. He's a tremendous player. So he comes off the board at 3 to Arizona. I'm like, okay, well, my dream of a potential Jeremiah Love thing, not that we had to have a running back anyway, is done. But, where do we sit now? Well, wait a second. If the Titans don't take Arvell Reese, am I to believe that the Giants at number 5 are going to get, in my opinion, the best defensive player in this draft? Could that possibly happen? We did this just a year ago and got Abdul Carter, who everyone said was going to be the best defensive player in the draft. Are we going to go back-to-back best defensive player in the draft, at least according to the talking heads? And sure enough, they picked the wide receiver out of Ohio State.
I couldn't believe that. That shocked me.
God, are you kidding me? Oh, my God. These are 2 shocking picks. back to back. It's already kind of reeling from the Jets going the other direction. But what the Jets did to me is just a matter of choice. Okay, we like this choice better than this choice, but they are similar in what they hope to add to their roster. The other two are like, throwing darts here at a dartboard, in my opinion, considering. And now the Giants are sitting there at 5. And literally, as it happened, and I did record my reaction, Boy Green. I have it on my phone. I don't know how I can.
Oh, I've not seen it. I've not seen it.
Quickly get it to you. I also have it up as a short, but I only took about the last 30 seconds. I just couldn't have it be, this 10-minute thing. It was,
of course.
I got on the phone well before, and then, it's taken a while before the pick. I thought it was going to be quicker, and then, I was just forced to kill time essentially while I was talking into my own phone. So I have the entire breadth of it. But,
oh, wow.
And we can maybe we can play that snippet. Maybe I can just zap it over to you here through my phone if I can just grab the right clip, and you can show it in a few minutes. All right. But before we do that, let me just describe, what happened. So they make the pick of Carnell Tate, and I am jumping out of my chair as soon as that happens. I was like, oh my bleeping God. Now, please, Giants, do not overthink this. There is nothing to overthink. I understand. Hey, we got Abdul Carter. Hey, we still got Thibodeau. Hey, we got, Brian Burns, who had a terrific season last year. What the heck do we need another one of these guys, so to speak? Arvell Reese is not another one of these guys. This guy can play all over the field, okay? He started at safety, all right? Moved into linebacker. Now they're labeling him, at least some draft experts, an edge. Like, this guy can play. He can play football. He runs around the field. He's huge. He's got speed. He's a tackler. He's a mauler. Nobody likes to be going one-on-one with this guy. He's a phenomenal football player, and the tape just screams it. So please don't say, oh, we got to go get that receiver that we covered so bad, because the rumors were the Giants, of course, wanted the Arizona State wide receiver, Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on, please do not. No, you do that here, and I'm going to literally just start chucking things at my television, all right? So there were things that could have gone wrong here for me if the Giants went a different direction. Thank God they saw the forest through the trees, and said, are you kidding me? This guy was like number 1 on our board, and now he's here? Positional value? Who cares? This is the player, and they took Arvell Reese. And I was absolutely giddy beyond belief that we got a player of this caliber at number 5. So I love the pick. I'm glad the Giants didn't overthink it. And if you watched the Shane Harbaugh presser, which
I did
right at the end of, it was pretty quick how quickly they got to the podium and talked about these 2 picks that they had made. John Harbaugh. First of all, Joe Shane looked like the cat who stole the canary. He was just like, he had that little wry smile the whole time. It was just inking to answer questions about how the heck did we catch lightning in a bottle here and get a player we never thought we could get at number 5. My God, Shane said something like, we did like 250 scenarios and none of them had Arvell Reese available to us at number 5. So when that happened, check, hand the card in, let's get on with it. So thank God the Giants didn't overthink it, and they went out and got what I think is the best defensive player in this draft. We'll see.
Yeah. So obviously my man crush for Arvell Reese has been well stated and well documented on this show. I love Arvell Reese, and Giants getting him at 5 is nuts. My only concern is what Harbaugh said, and maybe Harbaugh's just talking here, but he said we are going to line him up at inside backer next to Tremaine Edmonds, and that's his role. And I'm like, I love the player. I think he should be utilized sometimes at inside linebacker because, he's really good at that. But that being the only thing, you're not going to line him up as a pass rusher? Like that seems like it's destroying the whole point of having Arvell Reese. Because if you just wanted an off-ball linebacker, Sonny Styles with it, if that's all you want. But he has pass rush upside. I mentioned it earlier, 18.5% pressure rate. Now it was on a limited sample size. He had 65 true pass rush snaps where he lined up with either his hand in the dirt or his sole job was as an outside edge rusher. And it was only 65 snaps last year, but an 18.5% pressure rate shows you, boy, if we feed him more, it should be this. But the fact that it sounds like just at the press conference that that's not their plan, that part I hate for the Giants because I want, that's my boy. That's my boy. I want to see you maximize my boy. If you're going to take him from us, fine, but you better use him right. And I don't love that initial message.
Yeah, I think part of that, again, this is now just my opinion and my take. I think part of that for Harbaugh is that you have these other players, including
Oh,
Abdul
positioning with
and
Kevin
so yeah,
Thibodeau and stuff?
so yeah, so I
Mm.
think that both with Thibodeau obviously out there and at play and been bandied about a lot,
Okay.
plus the guy that you drafted last year to literally
Mhm.
be the guy that's going to play that for the next 10 years, be your
And
great
Brian
edge
Burns is
rusher.
already there.
And
Okay.
Brian Burns, who was, the best player last year,
Right.
period. And they gave a big fat contract. It's like, let's not upset the apple cart here. So we'll go out there. We'll say, Arbel Reese is going to be our inside linebacker. He's going to play right along Tremaine, right alongside. He did say other things. I don't know if it was in a separate, because they spoke to the media a couple of times,
Right.
beyond that.
After
first
each
round.
night, you
Yeah.
speak to the media.
And more questions were thrown at him about that. And
Okay, then I
some,
didn't see these.
yeah,
So wherever you're about to go, I
some
don't
of
know.
his later answers were, we're going to line him up all over the field. We're going to use it in all
Okay.
kinds of ways. So he wasn't. But I do think initially it's that I don't want to tick off the guys I already have on my roster or start some kind of thing here that doesn't need to be
Oh,
started.
so you think he just threw word salad just to say to appease,
Yes,
to just
I do.
say what he needed? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to just quell any stories that could be written about, he's taking maybe they'll just get rid of Abdul Carter now, I mean, he wasn't that good anyway, this guy shows something, buy Abdul, or, now they're definitely trading Thibodeau. Here we go. Giants are out. If they're going to line him up on the edge, Thibodeau's got to go. They can have 4 guys, for God's sakes, or, or whatever. Or Brian Burns is on the trade block now. I just think, like, you know how reporters are. They just want to write the next story. So here's the pick. Great player, but all right. And then they're trying to come up with the but. And if the press conference gives them any fuel, okay, to go in that direction, they can go in that direction. If the press conference just, water on the fire, then you're really kind of out on an island, even, proposing that the Giants are going to do this, that, and the other thing. But he did, I don't want to say walk back those comments, but he embellished those comments moving forward about the idea that Denard Wilson can use this guy in so many ways. He's just a jacko. He's a Swiss Army knife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting words in their mouths, but that was kind of the thing. This guy's a Swiss Army. He's a football player who could do all kinds of things, and we're going to do all kinds of things with him. And we can stunt, and we can flip guys, and we can just rush the quarterback in all kinds of ways that we couldn't before. And you never can have enough great pass rushers, So that was kind of, the tenor after things cooled a little bit. But I do think initially he was just trying to protect.
And if that was the plan, it worked, because I just forgot this till just now because I've listened to so many things on the way home. Connor Hughes covers the Jets and the Giants. He was sort of disappointed because he said when the Giants drafted Arvell Reese, he went, ooh, spicy. Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian, like, ooh, there's a storyline here to monitor. What does that mean? Where's everyone lining up? And he was sort of like, if anyone watches Dora the Explorer, swipe or no swiping. Oh, man. A little bit of that response, because he's like, oh, inside backer. Ah, man. It sort of takes away a storyline that would have been juicy.
And by the way, the Giants have gone out of their way in the last few days. Again, every chance they've gotten to get in front of a microphone for Harbaugh and for Shane and company, they have done everything to continue to say Kayvon Thibodeau's not going anywhere. We love Kayvon. Kayvon's solid. So they are also, in my opinion, trying to squelch any talk of, now they have to trade Kayvon. Because
you heard the rumors, though, right, Lurch?
Give me the latest on the rumors. But I mean, they have been fortifying their position as they're not going to trade him. By the way, before you even tell me the rumors, they're going to trade him. Okay. If they can get anything reasonable for him, they're going to trade him. It's just a question of when. Are they going to do it, pre-camp? Are they going to do it, at the trade deadline, which is another possibility?
Sure.
But to me, the sooner you do it, the better the chances that you get more. But
I agree.
It just depends on who's desperate, because obviously the early returns on Thibodeau, and I'm sure they shopped them. It's very clear that they shopped them before this draft, weren't what they were hoping. So they have, decided, let's just sit back and wait. All right. Because things can happen. People can get hurt. Things can change. A team can suddenly come out of the draft and go, boy, we didn't really get what we thought here rush wise. There's a guy out there that's available. Maybe we're going to chase him, and we can give up at least a second round pick for this guy. So we'll see where it all goes. But I fully do believe inevitably that Thibodeau is going to get traded, because now they have 3 good guys in front of him.
Yeah, which you're going to love this comment I'm about to say then. Well, the Giants and Saints over the last couple of months have had trade talks about Kayvon Thibodeau. And during the draft, the Saints ended up striking a trade for former first-rounder Tyree Wilson of the Las Vegas Raiders. And the reporting that came in after, the only reason the Saints didn't strike that trade for Kayvon Thibodeau's, the Giants drew a line in the sand and said, we want this. I don't believe it was reported what this is, but whatever that was, the Saints were unwilling to match it. The Giants refused to move off the line. So the Saints said, all right, we'll go in a different direction. So I'm sure you love that they drew a line in the sand and say, hey, we're trading him if we get this. If we don't, we're not just going to give him away.
Gotcha. And I agree with them. Like I said, you heard me before the Dexter stuff was, as that was bubbling, you heard what I said. And I said, I am not making a trade with the team if it does not include a first-round pick, period. And you're like, I don't know.
First-round pick you got.
I mean, this guy's disgruntled. I said, I don't care. Then he's not getting traded. Then he's going to be unhappy for the next 2 years, okay? And I'm gonna do everything to get him back on the field and to make him play football for my football team or ruin his reputation or whatever, because I have control. I'm not gonna let my team not get what I believe is fair market value. And then, of course, the Bengals stepped up. The 10th pick, suddenly it was more than fair market value, a good first-round pick, and the Giants jumped at it, and now they'll have to solve that, solution. They'll solve that in a different way. I'm sure DJ Reader is coming to the Giants. I think that's a matter of days before we hear that announcement. There are some other potential guys out there, but he seems to be number one guy, and he'd just be a stopgap, which is probably what the Giants need at this point, a veteran guy. I think he's 32 years old. So, so I think that's inevitably going to happen, and I think that was always in their hip pocket, so to speak. But getting that 10th pick was big for the Giants, and we'll talk about that pick in just a minute. But I mean, that was, to me, that was more than fair market value. And I think you have to draw a line in the sand for Thibodeau too. I mean, this guy was a first-round pick. He was a high first-round pick. And, to me, anything less at this point of his career, he's shown enough where you at least should get a second rounder. I mean, frankly, I'd like to get another first, but everything I hear out there is that that's asking too much. Yeah. So I think if you could get a second, particularly if you could find a team that, you don't think is going to be good this coming year and get an early second, those picks can be very valuable, as we saw once again in this year's draft, how valuable those early second round picks can be. The Jets going up, using that pick to get a good wide receiver that they were targeting. And we saw some other moves at the top of that second round. So those are always valuable picks to have. So you'd love to get more to the top of the second round, not just anywhere in the second round. So now you got to think about who is going to be your trade partner here.
Right.
Someone like,
and he's only on a 1-year deal. That's all he has left. So that's another factor.
Yeah. Right. So we'll see where it all goes. But I do think it's inevitable. He's going to get traded. It just makes sense. But the Giants could certainly enter the season with him in the fold and rotate guys and find clever ways to use various guys that would just keep their guys fresher. I don't see any problem with that. And then you look at it maybe again at the trade deadline, which is maybe what that's going to be if no one is willing to come to the table with what the Giants feel would be a fair market value for this player. I think that's where it's headed. So there you have it. Oh, so wow. That's all I could say about it.
So you next, I guess, because 10.
Yeah.
And Lurch, of course, I was thinking about you as the draft was going on. I'm looking at pieces, and I'm like, wow, Jordan Tyson goes 8th to the Saints. I'm like, ooh. So the wide receiver run happens. The Giants knew the first part of the wide receiver run, Cardinal Tate at 4. And I'll tell you, when Cardinal Tate went at 4, I went son of a gun for my Jets because I wanted a wide receiver. I'm like, oh, boy, this run's starting earlier than I thought. This is not good news. This is bad news. Oh, boy. We'll see where the hell this goes next. So you have Cardinal Tate at 4, Giants don't take wide receiver at 5, so then he goes at 8, and now all of a sudden we have you guys on the board. You end up taking the offensive lineman we talked about, and I remember some of your thoughts pre-draft on maybe going offensive line, Lurch, but we know that what the Harbaugh trades are about building it from the inside out. What'd you make of Francis Mauigoa?
My bad, Paul. I'm sorry. I muted my mic. I knew I had my mic muted and then I just started talking. I just sent you over. That's why I muted my mic so I could listen for a second. I just sent you over the video of me. It's only about a minute long of me going into the number 10 pick. So if you can bring it into multimedia, we can again experience it live. Exactly what I was thinking, exactly what I was hoping, and how it went down. I even provided a little commentary after the pick before I went dark on this thing. So you can show that to the folks, and you'll get.
And this is on Arvell Reese, correct?
No, this is the pick 10. This is what we're talking about.
Oh, okay,
I just sent you pick 10. The Arvell one is so long, I gotta like get it edited for you. Like,
okay.
whatever, or I'll just send you the super edited version, which I already uploaded to our site as a short, so you can go check it out yourself. Manchild live reaction to number 5 pick, and I have Manchild's live reaction to number 10 pick. So you just go to our page, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital, go to shorts, and we label all our shorts. I put nice headlines on all our shorts, so it's really easy to find stuff. So you'll see my reaction to 5, my reaction to 10. In both cases, and they're all just short, less than a minute long. So this is my reaction. Boy Green will have it up here in a second. This is my reaction to the number 10 pick. What I was thinking, what I was hoping, where things stood. This was mixed. This was definitely a mixed feeling kind of situation here as the Giants were on the clock with 10. Because we get this gift of Arvell Reese, and I'm like, wow. All right. And now we're sitting at 10, and I see the players that are on the board, and I was like, please. Just again, walk it up now. Don't overthink it. Just go get the job done, Giants. But the Giants, I suppose, had something else in mind. So
before we reveal this, because it's to break the fourth wall here, a file conversion. It's an MOV file type. So I'm just switching I'm just converting some things behind the scenes. But who did you want with the 10th overall pick?
I absolutely wanted them to take Caleb Downs. I mean, we can start defense here. There were so many rumors that the Giants were even willing to expend pick number 5 on Caleb Downs, which I always was just like, I don't know about that. That just seems like that's risky. He's a safety. You know where I stand with safeties and big money. Yeah. And that's big money at pick 5. And you're setting the market in a lot of ways. And what if he's not in the pros, what he looked like in college? Not everyone converts, even ones that are at the very top of the draft. Folks, need I remind you of how many flop number 1 overall picks we've had? You can choose any player in the college landscape. Loser. I on and on it goes. Complete flops at various positions. It's not even just quarterbacks. I know we're famous for screwing up quarterbacks at number 1. I mean, that's probably the most erred position when it comes to drafting high and then bust. All right. Probably quarterback would stand alone as the most flopped position, okay? The most busts as number 1 or even top 5 picks. But there are lots of other players, position players, who are flops that are picked in the top bunch. I mean, I'm hoping Abdul Carter isn't a flop. After last year, this guy was the number 2 overall pick. I mean, he better be better. Was he 3? I can remember they were 2 or 3.
He was 3.
3. So number 3 pick last year. He didn't show me number 3 pick value. I mean, he better have a much better season this year, man, or he might be labeled a bust before too long. But on and on it goes. Go ahead.
All right, so here we go. Let's play the footage.
Here's my live reaction.
I have not seen this, so this will be fascinating. This is Lurch's reaction to what
I had to do it, so I did it. I don't normally record myself. You said, please record yourself. Your reaction.
Yeah. Right. I did that for a bunch of the clips at the draft, so interesting. All right, here we go.
All right, the commissioner now coming to the board for the Giants at number 10. I say Caleb Downs. Let's do this. Let's make this a night.
The New York Giants select Francis Mauigoa.
They go O-line with Mauigoa. By many people's standards, the top tackle off the board. Protection for their guy, Jackson Dart. I don't mind it, although it's just not very sexy. An offensive lineman is never very sexy, but this offensive line has been a problem for a long time. Hopefully this will be the final piece for the Giants. I'm a little heartbroken that they don't go defense here and take Caleb Downs. They could have had Reese and Downs. That would have been unbelievable. 2 starters on the defense. But Mauigoa should start for the Giants right away. So you got to love it. I'm okay with the pick. It's not sexy, but it's efficient. John Harbaugh going in the trenches here and getting a guy that I'm okay with. So I'm not thrilled, but I'm okay with it. Giants now have expended both of their early picks. They did not trade either pick. So far, so good as the draft rolls on. Jets up next at number 16, unless they make a trade.
All right, so there's my reaction. So you can see tempered. Listen, we've been down this road. I have been talking for the last decade on our radio show and now into our digital world about the Giants' just miserable front. That offensive line not getting it together. Expending picks, in some cases wasting picks. You want to talk about busts in the top 10? I offer you Evan Neal, who still somehow remains on this roster. I don't know what the heck kind of miracle John Harbaugh thinks he's going to pull here in training camp and OTAs with this guy, and I hope he can. We need a miracle for Evan Neal to actually become a reasonable football player. But for where he was picked, he's a complete bust. And the Giants still literally do not have a right guard on this team. They would have to go back out and probably re-sign Van Roten, who is okay, or go find another kind of scrap guy, off the scrap heap. So there weren't great options. And this is a great option. They're getting what many people thought was the top offensive lineman off the board and a guy that will, I think, inevitably shift over to right tackle. So Illuminor's got, I think, a 2 or 3 year deal. So the thought would be, we get the guy ready at guard. And by the way, he can play multiple positions, Mawanoa. And I do like he's just an ornery, nasty guy. He's got a real attitude. His take at the microphone after he was picked, I will die for Jackson Dart. They asked him, about protecting Jackson. I will die for that man. I will die for that man. So I love the whole thing. I love the whole American Samoa background. He's a fascinating guy. And I do really think he's going to help this team. But I won't lie. I was disappointed because this defense has been porous for so long. I thought we could have survived on the offensive line with some scraps and figured that out, okay? And in the meantime, turn this thing into a vicious defense with 2 guys in the middle of this defense that are just going to wreak havoc, cause all kinds of problems. And not only worse than that, of course, we know what happened. The Cowboys trade up from 12 to 11, and then they pick Caleb Downs. So now we got to face Caleb Downs twice a year in the division. I mean, this is like Saquon Barkley all over again. Please, I can't take it anymore. So it's a little painful. Again, time will tell. But like I said in that little lead up, Boy Green, let's just hope this is it. Like, I'm done drafting offensive linemen in the first round. Like, let's get past this. Let's start drafting other positions. I'm tired of drafting offensive linemen in the first round. We've been doing it for too long. It's ridiculous.
Especially because, in Maui Noah's case, at least he's starting his career guard. The guard is supposed to be a position that does not get taken to the top 10 unless special circumstances. The first name that comes to my head is Quentin Nelson in 2018. He was a historic prospect. That was a guard, but he was supposed to be an all-pro superstar everything. I have not heard the same things about Maui Noah, and he's playing tackle, but converting to guard for the time being, and then if and when, to your point, Jermaine Illuminor moves on, he kicks back out to tackle. Now, in theory, you have your bookends of Andrew Thomas and what would be Maui Noah for the foreseeable future. So interesting. I thought you were going to be a lot more expressive of like, offensive line, come on. So you were more, me just seeing it now for the first time. I thought there was going to be more of that. You were more like, hey, I'm supportive. Yeah, offensive line. Not what I would have done, but okay, I support it. Like, that was nice.
All right. In a minute, I'll just when I get a second here, I'll send you the short version of the Reese thing. All right, so you can just.
Oh, you edited it already? Damn. Okay.
I have an edited version because I uploaded it as a short. All right.
Okay.
I have the whole long form thing, which I think is like 6 minutes because they went to a break. They did they were coming up for the pick, and then I was already recording, and then I was like, I guess I just hang in here. Then I thought
you could have stopped.
Well, I just knew I could edit it in the end before I posted it, so I just said, let me just keep rolling. So I just filled with. Talking about what I was thinking and they better.
Is that one more expressive? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes. Much different. You want me to send that down to you? All right. I'm going to mute my mic for a second. So you got to take over just for a second just so I can get the right clip. Stand by.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So I'll go to the comment section real quick. We have 200 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. We have 200 people across our social media platforms, which I truly appreciate. So make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. By the way, the Boy Green channel hit 8,600 subscribers earlier today. So thank you guys so much for all the support. It's been great. And the next big milestone for the Boy Green channel was, of course, 10,000. That'd be spectacular. But the big milestone next for MC Show Digital is 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you guys, excuse me, show your support. I am still battling here. I am using this Hall's cough and throat relief. So hopefully this really starts doing the business here because
your voice is sounding better though. All right.
Oh,
Reese
good.
Reese is on the way to you, so it'll take a second for that video to come across. So you'll have to do your little conversion again. But I promised that we would play these two things. So please just indulge us here today, folks. Okay. I promised Boy Green, who obviously we weren't together. He was at the draft and I was home. So man in the fort, so to speak. And I said, all right, I'll capture genuine reaction to both of these picks so that we can kind of talk about my reaction. So
as I'm converting this, Lurch, so you said you normally wouldn't do what I asked you to do, but you did it because I guess I asked you to do it. So now that you've done it, are you like, yeah, I'm glad Boy Green asked me to do that because there was some cathartic experience or something to doing it, or no, you will never do this again?
I don't know. To me, again, remove the fourth curtain, the fourth wall, right? Whatever
Sure.
we say. Like, I, I understand this new world that we're in, this digital world where
Yeah.
we literally, have our own show. We own our own show. We are our own brand. We wear branded clothing and things.
Sure.
You'll see me wearing the 12th MC hat sometimes in the 12th MC show and the Manchild show with Boy Green coffee mug I usually have alongside of me. It's in the dishwasher today. That's why you're not seeing it. So, I mean, we wear the brand, we sport the brand because we are trying to make people aware of who we are and what we
Sure.
do and
Yeah.
and to become and to come along for the ride with us, as you've done for over 5 years with your Boy Green Daily Show.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we're an infant. I often say this to you all the time. We're like a flea on a dog right now. I mean, no
There
one
you
even
go.
knows for the most part, other than our friends, family, and a few people along the way that have kind of fallen upon us. Nobody even
Sure.
knows who we are,
Right.
what we do, how we do it, what our thoughts about life and sports are. So we're newbies, and my thought always has been, as a member of the media. Again,
Okay.
I come from a journalistic background. I came to go to Syracuse University to study journalism. All right.
Mhm.
In particular, sports for sure. I was interested in being a sports journalist, so to speak,
Mhm.
to do television and or radio in the world of sports. But I went to a very serious journalism program. Before that, I went to a community college where I was the editor in chief of a student newspaper, and I was reporting on difficult stories that were happening in and around the college. And I learned a lot over those formative years, and then wanted to take that skill set and bring it into the professional world. And I work for a local ABC affiliate here in Central New York, News Channel 9, which is still here, WSYR TV. Back then, it was WIXT TV. And listen,
Mhm.
I was trying to break stories and cover serious stuff and always do what I was taught to do as a journalist, which is to be objective, to try to just find the facts and the truth, and to not sprinkle in my own thoughts and opinion. And now we're in this different world. I mean, number one, I end up leaving TV, coming into radio, and then inevitably doing a talk show. Well, guess what talk shows are? They're pretty much all about your opinion every single day.
Yeah. Right.
So I was always like, okay, do people really care what I think? Why don't I just tell them what happened? But I realized very, very quickly that I wasn't going to survive as a talk host if I was just the fact guy. Okay.
Right.
So what I decided to do is kind of toe the line a little bit, to report the facts and then offer what I would call, and I still believe myself to do this today, informed opinion. Okay.
Mm.
Yes, it's opinion. It's what I think, what I feel. But usually if it's uninformed, you'll hear me say, listen, I have no clue what's going on here. I have no source, or I don't have any reason to, any facts on the table to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. That was a stupid pick these guys made. Okay. I'll do that. All right. But you'll hear me. I preface it with, I have no evidence here. So you're just listening to me babble here, and you're either going to get on board with me or you're not. You're either going to believe me or you're not. You're either going to, think the same way as me or think differently. You know what I mean? So that was the way, I always approached it. And I think I still do today. So going all the way back full circle to your question about me recording myself reacting to these draft picks, I think part of my upbringing, part of my background, part of my long, long career in sports, I'm going to call it journalism. I know talk is opinion. All right. Is that I always was very hesitant to make myself the story. I just don't believe that I'm the story. I think the players are the story. I think the coaches are the story. I think the team is the story. I think the franchise is the story. The program is the story. Not me. I'm not the story. I'm just the one telling the stories. Okay. I'm a storyteller. All right. I'm not a story creator for myself. So you asking me to record myself, it's like I'm bringing myself front and center. Like, for some reason, my feelings about what the Giants do, as it's going on, matter to people. But, in a lot of ways, in doing this with you over the years that we've done it, in doing talk radio for as many years as we did talk radio together, I've learned that you got to sprinkle in some of that. There are people who do, follow us because they like our personalities, they like our opinions, they like kind of our takes on things. And so they do want to know what we think or what we feel. So it's like that thing. So you asked me, am I going to do it again? I say, I don't know. It was fine. I didn't feel a little embarrassed doing it, but at the same time, I was just like, right. I'll put this out to the world, see if they even care, kind of thing.
Look at that logo, Lurch. What does this say right here above my
The
pen?
Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Yes.
What does that say one more time?
The Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital.
The Manchild Show. Of course. The opinions are part of the brand. It's the unwritten contract you signed when we decided to do this show together. So you are the story.
I had good parents. I don't have my dad anymore. Sadly, I lost him a few years ago. My mom is still here. She just actually had a heart operation less than a week ago, and she's doing phenomenal. She's home. She's like back to normal. I'm like, Mom. She said, "This is my mom. You'll love this."
Okay.
So my mom did this operation last week. I'm my sister who's down with her. My sister's a nurse on Long Island. I have a brother down there too. They're there. As the operation's happening, bringing her to the hospital, picking her up from the hospital. It was, just a one-nighter. Everything went well. And so they're giving me updates. I'm texting and, I'm calling. And when she finally gets out of the OR and she can talk, I get on the phone with her. Are you okay? How you feeling? My mom, great. She's just, forget it. Gangbusters, my mother. So when you go home, they have like a nurse come in every day for a period of time, I think somewhere like 2 weeks or something. They come in, they take your vitals, they make sure everything's okay. She just had a serious heart operation. Like, she's my mother, by the way, 88 years old. Okay. Still drives on her own, all this stuff. So long story short, I talked to my mom yesterday and I already talked to her several times. She's already like, nothing even happened. I'm not even asking her about, you feeling okay today? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get on with it. All right. What's going on down in New York? What we up to today? My mother's already out playing cards with her friends and doing all kinds of crazy things.
Okay,
she says to me, yeah, they had the nurse coming in, right? I think the nurse was supposed to be doing this for, I don't know, like 2 weeks or something. She said, all they do is come in, take your blood pressure and check your heart. And then they go, and then, and that's really about it. She said, so after 2 days, I told the nurse, we're good. You don't need to come back. All right. So she's supposed to have this nursing thing for like 2 weeks. She literally says, yeah, okay, we're good. Like, get out of here. Okay, I'm fine. Like, let's get on with it. I got to go play Mahjong with my friends. Get me out of here. That's my mother. Wow. She's nuts. I mean, she's just, like so much for relaxing and taking it easy. Yeah. My mother right back in the fold off of her heart operation, going really, really strong. But anyway, I had good parents. And I think part of having good parents is, they taught me how to be humble, how to not always be the story, dare I say, to appreciate the things that you have in life and to give credit. One of the things, this, Paul, from knowing me, one of the things, and I was a boss for a long time in radio. I was a program director on top of doing a talk radio show, and I was managing a very large group of people at one point, 2 radio stations. Mm-hmm. And my thought always was to give credit where credit is due. I wanted for my employees to shine when they were doing good things, rather than do what I think a lot of bosses in this world do, which is they get in front of the microphone, say, our station is doing this. We are kicking butt over here. This story, we were on top of it. Instead, I say, hey, reporter, you're the one that did the story. Why don't you go up and speak? Hey, host over there, I want you to tell people how you came up with that story. And you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I think. It's not about me. It's about the people that do it, right? Who's doing it? Give credit where credit is due. I think that's what makes me a good boss. I have a lot of friends who used to work for me that are still friends of mine today that say I was the best boss they ever worked for. That's something to really be proud of, in the working world. Go ahead.
So with that being said, in honor of your parents, let's make this about you. Let's get that Arvell Reese reaction.
The pick is in. The Giants are still on the clock at 5. So the Giants did not trade the pick. I would have thought, be honest with you, not a bad idea. The Giants could have traded down. But with Arvell Reese on the board, I wouldn't have traded down. If I'm the GM of the Giants, if I'm John Harbaugh, I am running up to the podium and selecting Arvell Reese. I won't be incredibly disappointed if it's Sonny Styles. But if this is Jordan Tyson, I'm literally going to lose my cookies. I'm just going to absolutely lose it. So let's find out. We're moments away. They're coming back here. So here we go. One of my buddies is texting right now. He's saying Styles. He just nailed the Carnell Tate pick. So let's see if he nails it again here. Here we go. Live reaction to the Giants pick. Stand by.
In partnership.
I'm going to crank up the volume a little. Roger Goodell doing some kind of promo before the pick, just to build the drama just a little bit more.
We are honored to recognize the surviving family of United States Army Major.
Actually, very nice little tribute to an Army Major, a little tribute, so fantastic stuff.
So 6 to 9, the Chiefs don't have to hardly get up nothing. Maybe what?
Yeah, we'll find out what that trade is, Chiefs and the Browns. We don't have the details on that yet.
The Chiefs are getting Reese of Styles.
Maybe.
spouse, Tracy, and their 2 sons, Andrew.
All right, a lot of movement here now with the Chief trade. But the top 4 picks were not traded. The 5th pick picked by the Giants was not traded as well. So we continue to sit and wait. Sorry for the length of this video, but nonetheless, here we go.
With the 5th overall pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select Arvell Reese.
Yes! Arvell Reese is the man! He's coming to New York, but it's not the Jets. It's the bleeping Giants. Let's bleeping go, as my partner would say. Arvell Reese is a Giant! Yeah! Woo!
Well, there you go. There's my reaction.
That was a different reaction. I just have to say that at first I'm like, who is that bizarre voice that is beyond? Like, I'm hearing the television, like Greeny talking.
I had a friend
hearing
over,
you
yes.
talking.
A
But
couple
at first,
with me there.
I couldn't I'm like, who? Where is this additional? Do I have my phone on? What's this other voice I'm hearing? So then I got it. But yes, if the first one was, or second one rather, because we did offensive line first in terms of videos I heard.
Yeah.
If that one was slightly tempered, this one made up for it. Ric Flair wooing going on, the bleeping player. Wow.
I can't believe they got,
okay.
I could not believe he was on the board. Like, I was like, please don't screw this up, Giants.
Yeah.
Just don't. When a player like that drops,
Right.
regardless of what your positional situation looks like, you just can't let a guy like that get past you. Because now somebody else, one of your enemies, is going to get him. The guy's playing against you. Like, figure it out, man. Like, just figure it out. You know, it would be like, well, this is not a great example, but if for some reason the Raiders didn't take Mendoza, like if you don't run the card up, if you're the Jets, okay, you're just out of your mind. Like, oh, we had all these other plans. Like, who cares? Your plans were just ruined. Okay, so just forget about the plans you had and go to plan what should have been plan AA in front of plan A. All right, and just go execute that plan, which you never thought was going to happen to you. That was kind of my thought here on the Giants. Again, time will tell. These are college players coming into the pros, but every bone in my body tells me this guy's going to be a phenomenal pro. So I'm super excited.
I agree. I think he's going to be great. And the only mock that I saw that had Reese at 5 to the Giants was Peter Schrager's final mock the day before the draft. He put it out. He even wrote in there like, man, this doesn't seem likely, but I'm just going to call it. And I was
hearing,
like, wow,
that's what I'm hearing.
So he nailed it. So yeah, Arvell Reese to the Giants, unbelievable, and a great reaction video.
The Tate pick, to me, of the 4 top picks, the one that shocked me the most was Carnell Tate.
Definitely.
At Tennessee, with the option to take Reese, to potentially take Reese, said, no,
Salah, right?
We'll take a wide receiver who is very good, very promising. But many people have said, you know, in a year where there would be other receivers, you put him in another draft year, and he might be the 4th or the 5th or the 6th receiver taken off the board, that he's probably a solid wide receiver 2 kind of guy.
Yeah.
And take him at number 4 with Arvell Reese on the board. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. What are you thinking? So again, time will tell. But wow, it was just shocking. So the Love pick was surprising, but a lot of chatter was out there about that. So it wasn't like, I think it's a dumb pick by Arizona, but it is what it is. The guy's ultra talented. They're taking an ultra talented player. I guess I can't blame him. I just don't think it helps them in the long run in their evolution where they're at right now. But the Tate pick to me was befuddling. I just didn't understand that at all with Reese on the board. You just scrap your plans and go take Reese and move on, man.
Yeah, that was surprising for sure. But I guess just build around your young quarterback, and Salah, learning from his time with the Jets, says, hey, I don't want anything I can control to be the reason that he's not successful. So let me give him a new toy. Let me give him this. Let me give him this. Let me let him work with Brian Dable. And again, that surprised me. I thought for sure they were going defense. I mean, we talked about it with John Schmelk.
I just wonder if the if the Titans had taken Reese, I wonder what the Giants would have done there. I really wonder what they would have done. Would it been pivot to Sonny Styles? Because there weren't a lot of rumblings about the Giants and Styles, in all honesty, on the very last few days leading up to the draft. Would they have just taken Caleb Downs at 5? I mean, they didn't even take him at 10.
That's what I was going to say. So I would assume not.
That question's been answered. And the answer is no. Okay. Right. The Giants said, he's sitting right there on a silver platter. And they said, no, we'll take a lineman. Like,
Yeah.
and I understand Mauanoa by a lot of people was supposed to be off the board by them, but it doesn't matter. Like they had a chance to double dip here and get these 2 Ohio State studs, and they said, we'll pass. So I can't believe that they were ever going to take Downs at 5.
No.
Therefore, who would they have taken? Would it have been Tate? Would it have been Jordan Tyson?
My
Would it have
guess is
been,
Sonny.
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what the Giants would have done, but I'm glad we didn't get to that place.
See, there you go. That's right.
Doing because they got, to me, the defensive stud of the draft. So you just can't do that. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, Jets at 16. Thoughts there?
Yeah. Like I said, I told you at the beginning of the show that when the Jets were ready to make their pick, me, Luby, and the rest of the gang huddled up and said what we wanted to happen, what we thought was going to happen. When Mekhi Lemon was on the board, we're like, oh, well, this is easy peasy. It's Mekhi Lemon, obviously. Who would have possibly thought he'd be here at 16? And they didn't have to trade up. He just fell into their laps. This is terrific. And I said the only other pick I can see, if it's not Lemon, is Kenyon Sadiq. And a lot of people in the group were like, no, it's not going to be Kenyon Sadiq. Come on, man. And I'm like, okay. Well, again, I hope and think it's Lemon, but I'm just saying another thing I would be comfortable with is a weapon. And it ends up being Sadiq. Right. And if you see my reaction, those are up on YouTube too. It's like 30 or 40 seconds. Goodell is talking. You can overhear his voice, the camera on me. And again, I'm anticipating Lemon. It's Sadiq. And then there's a half second of like, Sadiq?
They just take
like,
Sadiq,
oh my God, they took Sadiq. And then you see the reaction as is. I think he's a weapon.
Him. Yeah, we've loved him,
100%.
Coming up to this thing. We have, we just haven't projected him to go to the Jets. Again, just kind of based on where they're at positionally, what other needs might be, all the chatter about quarterback, all the different variables that are in the blender for the Jets. About maybe trading up. We talked a lot about that. You did it in several of your mocks. Let's get up there and go get the receiver of our dreams and not even wait and let somebody else steal that player. So that all made a lot of sense to me. So the fact that they just sat back and then Sadiq kind of came to them, I think he's a phenomenal player. Again, and time will tell. Is he a great fit for the Jets? Will he indeed be exactly what you say? Rather than just call him a tight end, let's just call him a weapon. Can he become a weapon for the Jets? I think in some weird way the Giants are hoping that Isaiah Likely will become a weapon for them.
Definitely.
With a tight end analogy, an athletic tight end kind of guy. So we'll see. The tight end, the thing about it, I guess, that scares me a little. I love the play. Okay. Yeah. What scares me a little is just the history of tight end in the draft. Okay. And that's nothing to do with any particular player. It's the breadth of the players. All right. That they just don't typically contribute right away. And in some cases, don't become anywhere near as good as what we want out of a first-round pick. That's the trouble or the troubling thing about tight ends early. There have been exceptions. The Giants stuck one early in Jeremy Shockey. That wasn't
I love Shockey.
That long ago. And there have been other success stories. But alongside those success stories are many, many failures. So let's hope that Sadiq is not a failure and rather one of those great success stories, and it turns out to be a genius pick for the Jets. So
I love the player. Yeah, I read a report earlier this morning from Albert Breer that the Jets had, and this I guess is somewhat obvious, but they had Sadiq rated. So they had the top receivers ranked wherever. And then they had Sadiq, and he was much higher than the rest of the receivers of Mekhi Lemon, Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, all this group. They had Sadiq rated higher as a pass catcher than those guys. And it shows because obviously that's what they made the pick with. Yeah. And then they come back and, we'll get to the other pick here in a second, but you pair that with another wide receiver at the end of the first round, and now you truly see the vision. So to me, I'm really excited. It takes a creative offensive coordinator. You got to run a lot of 12 personnel because you just invested the 42nd overall pick last year in Mason Taylor, the son of Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. So you have 2 tight ends that are very competent, very capable, and maybe more. And I'm excited how they use him. So to me, I was giddy because I just wanted Garrett Wilson to have more help on offense. I didn't care if that came via tight end or receiver. I preferred both, and we ended up getting both. But I definitely just wanted more help for Garrett and Brees and everybody. And I think that's certainly what the Jets got in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the Jets draft as a whole, they filled a lot of needs. They picked a lot of players that they have holes, and they're trying to fill those holes. So now the question, as I say over and over again, as we talk about drafts and what they mean afterwards, is okay, let's find out, whether these guys can contribute, and at what level can they contribute. So, so I think it's, the draft is a fascinating specimen. We have all these expectations going in. We have all these ratings going in. And then as soon as it ends, all that goes out the window.
Yeah.
All right. We'll continue to measure on expectations, which is so unfair, by the way. You know, that we as a media, we as talking heads, even if you want to throw the scouts into it to a certain degree, put a value on players. And then if they don't live up to the value, this label that we've placed on them, they're failures. Should they really be failures? We're the failures. We valued a guy as a first round pick who maybe was really just a fifth rounder. All right. But we valued him. And yet that player will take crap for his entire career and post-career if he doesn't live up to the value that someone else placed on him. Think about that for a second. I mean, crazy. But that is, dare I say, what the draft is. And these players will have to live up to their value. You already hear me talking about Abdul Carter. That was the number 3 pick last. Come on, man. Maybe the Giants just blew it. Maybe he shouldn't have been the number 3 pick. They should have picked somebody else who was better, and we wouldn't be talking about this. But now we're going to call him a failure if indeed he fails. Another season, another bad season here. He's a failure as a number 3 pick, and it just kind of sucks for the player because, it's not the player's fault that they got picked number 3. It's the team's fault. They're the ones that picked him.
Yeah. And so we'll move on to the wide receiver thing here. And to me, there was 3 doors. If the Jets really want a wide receiver, which everyone and their mama seemed to think that they want a wide receiver, and I agree, there was 3 doors for the Jets to pursue. Trade up from 16 and go get your wide receiver because you weren't going to do it at 2. Trade back from 16. You don't love the group of wide receivers, but you'd feel a little more comfortable if you dropped to like 19, 20 and then take your guy.
Sure.
Or trade up from 33 and get your guy at the back end of the first round. The Jets picked that final option, and they traded up. They took Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana at 30. Buffalo traded back, which I heard you guys talk about with Anthony Prohaska several times.
Yep.
And they traded back to 31. They apparently, by all reporting, wanted Omar Cooper Jr. Jets sniped them by picking right ahead of them, take Omar Cooper. Buffalo's like, damn it. And they just trade out of the first round completely. And I have one of the coolest, unique items in history. Full screen here, baby. This that's in my hands is the draft card that Roger Goodell had held and read when the Jets traded back into the first round. This is it. This is the official card with the 30th overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft. The New York Jets select Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver, Indiana. That is Roger Goodell's signature. And this is a one-of-one item. There's only one of this on planet Earth. And I am so going to frame this. And I actually have a frame, and I'm going to redo some pictures and stuff for the draft, put it all together. As Goodell makes the pick, I'm losing my. I think. Let me see. I don't know if I have the.
You weren't expecting another first round pick. All of a sudden, they announced the trade. You're like, "Whoa, Jets are on the clock."
Oh yes. Goodell. And I thought, I thought I had the video quick. I don't. It's on my other channel. You guys could go check it out. About like, oh my God, they traded. You see my crazy reaction. I'm reacting crazy in front of the ESPN NFL Network. It's like, oh, I'm jumping around like a school girl. Oh my God, they got Omar Cooper. Like, this is great. And then I'm looking up at the stage, and Roger announces the pick from the podium, and he's walking, and he seems to be walking towards the back, but he like just sort of glances at the Jets group as we're going nuts. And me and Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, we make eye contact.
Look
and we all of a sudden we're locked. And he gives me eyebrows like, like, do you want the card? Is basically what he said in telepathic language. And I'm like, hell yeah, I want that. So I ditch the Jet chant and everything I'm doing, and I'm making my way towards the stage. There's a few people around me that notice what's happening, and they're trying to get in on the action. Like, they're like, oh, I want that card. And I'm like, I'm not, hey, we've made eye contact. There's an unwritten agreement here. He wants to hand that to me. And so I get up to the stage, and he hands it off stage and hands it right to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got this card. There's only one of these. And apparently here's how it works. If the draft prospect is in attendance, they get the card, understandably, and it goes to them. Omar Cooper was at home with his family, so the card is to be given away or taken to the back. And I have no idea what they do with it back there. Maybe auction it off or something. I have no idea. And he handed it to me. So I have the one of one. I was at the draft. That's the only card that exists, and I would be putting it in a cool frame with all kinds of other crazy pictures from the draft. I have a frame that I think I'm going to put together with other stuff. So that is one of the coolest things in history.
And one of the cool things that could happen, you never know. I would do exactly what you're going to do. I would frame it, keep it, put it away, hermetically seal it. All right. But you never know if Cooper becomes like a star of the Jets or something.
Could you imagine?
Okay?
Yeah.
there may be a time at which you want to, approach him and say, hey, listen, I was actually at the draft when you were picked, and I actually have the original one of one only draft card for your pick, and, maybe it could be an exchange of goods, so to speak. Cooper gets a keepsake that he might treasure for the rest of his life that has his name on it. And if he was there, would have rightly been his. All right. And maybe you get something, nice from the Jets out of it as well. So who knows? Maybe a trade down the road of some sort that could be, a barter that could be had, so to speak.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you got a really cool keepsake.
Let me say this, right? So I'm there with this guy. There's this Jets fan's name is Mikey Hulkhands, and he has.
Oh yeah, we saw the guy with the big hands.
It's not. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
He wears Hulk hands that have Jets written on them and everything. So Kenyon Sadiq was also not at the draft. So I noticed that this is even a thing at the 16th overall pick because they read off the name Kenyon Sadiq, and Roger Goodell's walking off stage. He looks over at our group and he does this, and I'm confused by all of it because I don't understand. Is he talking to some technical person? Like, is something going on? And then Mikey Hulkhands and him make contact, and Mikey says yes. He takes off his Hulk gloves because he needs his hands and goes over to stage, and Goodell hands him the card, and I'm like in disbelief, like, what just happened? And Mikey's like, sweet, I got the card. I'm like, what? You can get the card?
Sadiq card. You've got the Omar Cooper card.
Yeah, so that was cool. So we got to take a cool picture together where we both held up our draft cards like, oh my God, isn't this amazing? Nice. But the reason I bring him up, and he told me this because we've become friends now, so that's wonderful. And he says he's reached out to Kenya. He immediately reached out to Kenya Sadiq and said, hey, I have your card. I want to get it to you. I don't think he's trying to exchange it. I think he's just trying to give it to him.
Yeah, okay. Some people might do that.
A better man than me. Hell no. I'm not offering. With all due respect, Omar, hell no. I was at the draft. I was there. He handed it to me. If you want it, we can negotiate.
Of course.
But even a lot of Jet fans in my universe said, I wouldn't negotiate. I'd keep it. Nothing can beat this, which is probably true. Like, what could beat the season tickets for life? And does he even have that kind of pull? Probably not. He's a rookie. So, like, what he could probably give me an autographed jersey and a picture, like we meet for like 5 minutes.
Oh,
but
this is cool.
I don't know how you beat that. So, like, to me, I'm going to frame this and like, have this forever. Again, if there is some overwhelming, compelling offer, but I have heard so many stories that we've talked about on our radio show, Lurch, of like Shohei Ohtani's millionth home run. Some kid catches it after the game. The Dodgers people approach him and say, hey, let's work this out. What can we do? And then I make fun of those people when they sell it low and get like here, he's autograph a baseball for you. Here you go, kid. And I'm like, what are you doing?
For a VIP thing. It's like, no, what do you mean?
No.
I have one of
you want this? Show me how much you
want.
100%. So, like, again, if Omar is watching the show, and he should be, because we've got one of the best shows out there. If he's watching that show, you better start high, buddy. And then whatever you think is high, go higher. Because this is a one of one draft card. Something, quite frankly, I would love to have in my collection forever. It's just unique. It's amazing. It's cool. I was there too. So it's not like I just bought this in an auction. I just randomly have this card. Like, I was there. So there's a sentimental element that exists here. So, but so I'm probably going to keep it forever. But Mikey Hulkhands, I just wanted to give you a salute. You're a better man than me. Yeah. I wouldn't have done that. Screw that noise. Absolutely.
For Mikey, man, that's generous of him, but not necessary. It is what it is.
Good for him, though.
You're the owner. You get to decide what you're going to do with it. And I think I think a best case scenario, what I would probably do is I would hold on to it as a keepsake. Do what you said, frame it. It's super unique. And then if the guy becomes like a superstar for the Jets or something, then maybe somewhere down the road, our paths shall cross, so to speak. And it becomes a conversation, and then you go from there. You see what, if he was even interested in the item, what could be had for it, that you love it, you're love to keep it for the rest of your life. However, you understand it has his name on it. It was kind of a special day for him. I know he wasn't there in person, but you were there representing him. And dare I say, maybe a bargain, a barter. But I agree. Out of a rookie, you're not getting, he doesn't have the kind of.
No offense to him. Maybe the Jets would try to help. Maybe whatever team they would try to help grease the wheels and step in and try to offer extra stuff. But
I agree with you. It wouldn't be worth it.
No.
I would hold out for sure. For a bit anyway. So it's an awesome keepsake. So stick with it for now. And if that someday somehow happens, so be it. so be it.
Hey, by the way, here's so Yoham's saying, I'm hoping BG is not sleeping with that card. I'm not, because I don't want to bend it. But who are we talking about? Omar Cooper Jr. Jets traded back into the back end of the first round for Omar Cooper Jr., the Indiana wide receiver. Goodell handed me the card. Here's the last part of the story, is this, Lurch. So when you go to these NFL events, they employ a clear bag policy that's been that way for a couple of years. So long story short, if I was a media member, I could bring my normal book bag. I've got a Jets book bag over here. I could load it up with whatever within reason, whatever I want to help me do the draft stuff. But if you're just a fan, which I was, clear bag policy. So I'm in the hotel room and I'm packing this clear bag and I'm like, what should I bring to night one of the draft? Some medicine just in case something happens. I'm throwing some things in there. I'm like, this. And then all of a sudden there's this notebook that's in my book bag. And I'm like, and I look at this, I'm like, why would I bring this? What would am I going to take notes? What's going to, but I'm like, I don't know. Something in my head said, bring the notebook, Paul. And I'm like, all right, brain. If you
see how life works, because I know what you're going to say. Now you have something to keep the card in, and it's not going to get ruined, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Because that's what. So I throw this into the bag, and I don't think about it. I get the Omar Cooper card. I take a few pictures of people, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. And then it hits me. Oh my God, what am I going to do with the card? I don't want this to get bent. We're about to, after the draft is over, you're rushing out into the streets and we've got a 15, 20-minute walk. Like, oh my God, someone could spill a drink on it by accident. Like, good Lord, what's going to happen with this thing? And I'm like, looking at my back, like, what am I going to do with this card? And then I see the notebook and I'm like, could it possibly fit inside the notebook where it wouldn't get bent? And it perfectly fits inside the notebook. It's right there, and no edges left out, so it can't get bent. And I was like, thank you, thank you, the gods above. I appreciate it. So thank you to my fiance for buying me this notebook. And I just randomly, and I remember even saying to myself, why would you need this notebook, you idiot? Why would you bring this? It's just an extra item for no reason. But I had room in the bag, so I'm like, all right, I'll just throw it in there. And then the God spoke to it. So blessed be he. I don't know how I would have got it home otherwise without it getting bent in the bag.
No doubt. Yeah.
That would have been terrible. So.
Yeah. And that's a disaster. It won't be worth nearly as much down the road. And you just don't want to bend cards. So okay. So it's in pristine condition. Keep it in pristine condition.
I will do. Yeah, we'll do.
Have it professionally framed, and you go from there. Keep that thing safe for years to come. And if the trade opens up somewhere down the road, then you can take a look at it.
But I'll tell you, folks, make sure you hold me to it. I am not giving this away for nothing. It better be an unbelievable king's ransom offer, because I've made fun of people for so long. So it would be ironic if I ended up bending the knee to something because Omar said, pretty please. No. Yeah, give me something good. Anywho, Lurch, so I don't know what you want to do, if you want us to continue to go pick by pick through the draft.
Let's just rate the class. I mean, the only other thing I want to talk about on the Giants side, we'll flip to the Giants side here for a second. All right. So first two picks, you know where I stand. You saw my gut reaction. I'm pretty happy there. Love that really, if you look across the board at the four picks, the Giants, their first four picks, which were in two in round one in round two, and one in round three. All right. Yep. Which they didn't initially have a pick in round three. They traded away a bunch of picks, including a pick next year in round four, to get that round three.
Oh,
pick.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that was included in the deal. Yeah, this was one of those things where where John Harbaugh's dealing with one of his old buddies, so to speak, right? Because it's Monken, right, who is part of that organization now that they made that trade with. And they've been tight for years and years, but a lot of people are saying Monken held them for ransom, essentially, like you wanted with that card, held them for ransom for that pick, where they took Malachi Fields with the 10th overall pick in the third round. But if you look at the Giants' first four picks, Arvell Reese, people didn't think he would be available at 5. Right. He was. The Giants got him at a bargain there. Mauigoa, nobody thought he was going to be available at 10. A lot of people had him even going in the top 5. The Giants get him at a bargain there. Colton Hood, many people had a first-round grade on Colton Hood. Yep. The Giants get him with the 5th pick in the second round, and then finish it off with that trade up to get Malachi Fields, another guy who was expected to go a little bit earlier, and the Giants get him. They had him as a second-round talent on their board. Now, their board is not everybody's board, but they had him as a second-rounder. They get him in the third round at pick number 10. So I don't know much about the last three, the defensive tackle, the offensive tackle, and then Jack Kelly, the linebacker from BYU. I have seen him play before. They all seem like good, tough players, big guys, good at the college level at their position. But to me, the Giants draft are those first four picks. And it feels like they got a bargain in every sense, that they got the guy below what we thought the value of that guy was going to be. And more importantly, they filled some serious needs. They had an offensive line need, they filled it. They had a linebacker need, they filled it. They had a cornerback need, they filled it. They had a wide receiver need, they filled it. So they filled 4 needs, and in my opinion, they got bargains for all 4 of them. So that to me is what makes this Giants draft class a good class. If I had to give it a grade, I mean, A is hard to achieve. So I'm going to say A- because A is like perfect. Everything goes your way. And I think to get an A, some really weird stuff needs to happen. I think for me to say, yeah, this is an absolute like beyond belief home run. So I'd say A- for the Giants draft. Talk about the rest of the Jets picks and how they put this roster together.
By the way, I'll just give a quick tip of the cap. There was top 15 buzz on Colton Hood, the Tennessee corner you guys ended up getting in the second round. So, like, that was legitimate, and the Jets were very interested in him as well. So, wonderful player you guys got in Colton Hood. And obviously, Malachi Fields. I'm a Notre Dame Golden Domer, so everything I'm going to say about Malachi Fields is biased because I love my Golden Domers. But, yeah, Giants did a very nice job. All 4 of those players are going to be involved. I think the one everyone wants to hear on Jets land is someone we're quite familiar with, Lurch, in ACC country. The Jets took Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik, and I already reached out to Don Munson because I want to pick his brain about Cade. I feel like I know a lot, but like there's a lot more I can learn about Cade. So I'll continue conversations with Don Munson about it. But I wanted the Jets to take a developmental quarterback. They had 3 picks in the 4th round after another trade earlier in this draft. So I said, okay, take your quarterback, whoever it is. And to be honest, I thought it could have been Garrett Nussmeier. There's a lot of smoke around that at OSU. He just ended up going to the 7th round. So
yeah, he almost didn't get drafted.
Yeah, he ended up going to the Chiefs, so that's a pretty good landing spot if there's one with Andy Reading Company. So I thought, oh, wow, it could be, Garrett Nussmeier. Drew Aller had already long gone. Carson Beck had long gone. So I was curious. I'm like, man, where do they go? But they should definitely take a kid. And they took Cade Klubnik, and I'm like, Like, I've seen a lot of his games live in person. So interesting. He's an interesting kid that they took a dart throw at. And to me, I like it. To me, most of this is low risk, high reward. I know they traded up 2 4th-round picks to move up to go get him and secure him. If he stinks, who cares? You swing and miss on quarterbacks all the time. Now, you prefer not to, but it happens. If it hits and he's a long-term backup, that's a massive win.
Yeah. Right.
If you hit, he's a franchise quarterback, that's a massive win. So I'm curious what the kid has. I love the draft call where he says, hey, coach, send me the playbook. I'm ready to study it on the initial first draft call. But I am curious to see, like I said, what Don Munson has to share about it. But they take him in the 4th round. He's 6'2", 207 pounds. He was considered a top 10 pick before the season, and he falls obviously all the way to the 4th round. He's coming off a down year, but I trust the Jets quarterback contingent. Frank Reich was a longtime quarterback. Bill Musgrave was a former quarterback, and that was part of the Jets collective to figure out who was going to be the quarterback they wanted to develop. They choose Cade Klubnik. I know a lot of Jet fans are losing their minds about it. To me, I trust their judgment. Let's see. This is the guy they wanted. They identified him. They moved up for him. I think that's the one of interest there. I also love D'Angelo Pons, a 5'8" corner fellow, vertically challenged guy, and his pro comp was Aaron Glenn. So that's funny that Aaron Glenn was the one to draft.
Quickly, before you move on, just to go back to Klubnik for a second.
Sure.
This is what little I could offer on Klubnik.
Sure, please.
As a junior, he was terrific.
Yeah.
His junior year at Clemson, he looked like the real deal. And there was a lot of talk that Clemson could be a national championship contender and that he could be the guy essentially to lead them potentially to a national championship. What happened to him in his senior year, I don't know physically. I did hear that there was some rumblings about him having some various injuries that he was playing.
I didn't know what that was, but they did say that,
Yeah, so I've seen a little bit around that. But what I can say about his play, injuries aside or whatever might have been going on with him physically, in his senior year, while he still made some good throws and some big throws and showed that pro potential, in the clutch, he was terrible. I mean, he threw bad interceptions at critical moments in games. He just, when the pressure was on, when things mattered in the game, in the 4th quarter, at critical points, that's where he failed last year. So, that's a concern. Obviously, that's like, okay, that's an important, thing for any quarterback to have, especially at the pro level. So that's where he failed last year. But if you go back and look at his junior year tape, he showed no signs of that. He was a really, really good player. So, it's one of those dart throws, which is at that particular part of the draft, it is a dart throw. You're dart throwing at these quarterbacks. I was shocked that Nussmeier didn't go until late in the 7th, and he almost wasn't. I just thought he was, all of the draft experts out there had him going much higher than that. I don't think anybody had him going in the 7th round. So that was kind of surprising. But the quarterback thing was really interesting. The Rams, going as early as they went, for Ty Simpson, and then Beck going as early as he went.
Yeah, the first pick of the 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean that was surprising to me as well. So quarterbacks they're always interesting to evaluate, and so they tend to be all over the place in terms of where they're drafted. A lot of times, some of them often way too high, some of them often way too low.
Mm-hmm.
Results will be the results. All right, continue through the Jets thing here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to finish off on the rest of the Jets, they ended up getting in the 6th round Anez Cooper. He is a 3-year starter. He was right next to your guy Francis Mauigo on that offensive line.
Yep.
So a 3.5-year starter that you get in the 6th round, to me, a ton of experience. And then they got VJ Payne, who was a 4th round safety. They got in the 7th round. I don't know why he ended up slipping, but I love it. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, and the Jets get some competition safety. Also, I didn't mention Darrell Jackson Jr. He was the first 4th round pick that the Jets had to add to that defensive line rotation. So I love it. We go do, you sort of mentioned the first 4. I'll go first 4 as well. You have 4 starters here. David Bailey, starter. Kenyon Sadiq, starter. Omar Cooper Jr., starter. D'Angelo Pons has a very good shot to be a starter as a boundary corner opposite of Brandon Stevens and Jarvis Brownlee Jr. So I really like the Jets draft. I would say the one miss, if I'm to analyze it, they didn't go off-ball linebacker, so if I'm giving a grade, it's probably a B+, but they did get sniped. Apparently what they wanted to do, from everything I hear, is at 44 overall, they wanted Jacob Rodriguez at Texas Tech. And by the way, the feeling's mutual. I also wanted Jacob Rodriguez with the 44th overall pick. Dolphins took him at 43. You get sniped. You trade back. They end up with D'Angelo Pons, who I like a lot too, but they just didn't get the off-ball linebacker, which I would have preferred somewhere in this class. They didn't get it. So, no, I give this draft a B+. Great work manipulating the board, moving up when you had to, moving down when you had to, and I thought they did a really good job. So that's a very firm B+.
I thought the Giants got sniped again on Caden McDonald. Remember in our fantasy draft?
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was like, I'm going to get McDonald here. And then he got picked right before. And the exact same thing happened in this draft. The pick before the Giants in the 2nd round, Caden McDonald came off the board. So if they wanted to go with that interior defensive lineman,
which I'm sure they would have,
which I'm sure was on their mind, they didn't. Now they seem to love Hood and feel that he can again be a starter. You say, hey, you feel like the Jets might have gotten 4 starters easily out of this draft. I kind of feel the same way about the Giants. I think that I think that Malachi is going to start. They just don't have a real depth at receiver. He's got a good chance of starting or at least contributing at a high level. Hood could very well be a starter considering who our corners are. And then the 2 top guys obviously are going to start. So, yeah, it's again, we're walking away with a lot of really good players in New York here between the Jets and the Giants. I think in the end, this was a fun draft. There were a lot of picks, and I think that both teams really, they really hit the ground running well here. These guys are going to be in the mix. They're going to be contributing, and they should result in some more wins, which is what we both want, right? Let's have some more wins this year. Let's get some more wins. Let's be more viable in the NFL.
Last thing, just because you brought it up, there's just a draft story, which I found fascinating. So, they invite whoever they invite to the green room. It's like 20 guys. And for the most part, most of them go in the 1st round. One of them that did not is Caden McDonald. Roger Goodell approaches him after he goes undrafted and says, hey, buddy, we'd love to have you back tomorrow. Like, come back to day 2, and we think you're going to be, I'm the commish. I don't know. I don't force people to make picks, but we think you're not going to have to wait very long on day 2. Please come back and have your moment in the sun as you deserve. And Caden thinks it over and says, yeah, I want to come in. So we're waiting at the top of the draft, on day 2. And he ends up going to the Houston Texans. He has this emotional, he's in the green room, he cries, he comes out, he does this very long hug with Roger Goodell. Yep. And he gets to, when you're a 1st round draft choice, you obviously hold up the jersey, you're number 1. The number 1 on the jersey to represent a 1st round pick. If you're after the 1st round and you're somehow in a green room, normally they give you a helmet to hold. Right. So, not as cool, but still, you get the helmet, you hold the helmet. And so all this is happening, Goodell, boom, boom, boom. It's beautiful. And I see that Cam Hayward, so they're in Pittsburgh. So they're doing these special hosts, Colleen Wolfe of the NFL Network, Cynthia Freeland, Rondé Barber was there. They had a few Steelers legends. Cam Hayward did a ton of work throughout the 3 days of hosting in between and riling up Steelers fans. It made a lot of sense.
Yes.
Anywho, after Cam McDonald gets drafted, they go off camera. So you can't, if you're just looking at, if you're sitting in the middle of the stage and looking straight, you couldn't see them. But the Jets were a little right of the stage,
You
or
could
if you're
see it.
looking out from the stage, you're to the left. It's to the Jets are to your left. So I can see off camera, like in a secluded area. And I just look up and I see that Cam Hayward has his hand on Caden McDonald's shoulder and he's like talking to him. It seems like he's sort of pumping him up. Yeah, and Caden was like crying. I'm like, normally I wouldn't film this very, special moment, but like I think this is really cool and see what people think. So I filmed 30 seconds of it, 45 seconds of it, however long of it. I put it out on Twitter and it went viral. It blew up, and all these Texans people are resharing it. Ohio State people are resharing it, and the clip's going crazy. And it's just cool that Cam Hayward, and another thing I forgot in the moment, but I noticed it after. They're both former Ohio State guys. I had forgotten about that on Cam's side, and he just was pumping him up. And basically, I could overhear not much of it because he was so far away, but it sounded like he was just saying, like, "Hey, man, like chip on your shoulder, like screw the haters, like you got picked. You're still like you're in the NFL, man. Like use this as motivation." Basically, is what it seemed like the overarching message was, and that was a super cool moment. So, again, to me, we did an interview with one of our. I think you did as well, Lurch, with one of our interns, Emily, who's part of our group, about the draft. And she asked me before I went to the draft, what's the things that sort of rev your engine about it? I said, it's a human stories. Like there are people that have overcome all kinds of things in their life, and this is their moment. They're about to become a multimillionaire instantly. They're living out their NFL dream, whether walking across the stage or they're at home with their families. And I said, those are the stories that really, of course, I want my team to get really good players and my team to win games and win championships and all that, obviously. But like, I think the human stories is really what drives me for the draft. And to see like a story like that playing out live in person was super cool.
Very much. And by the way, that whole Cam Hayward, Cade McDonald thing, which is unusual, but the TV cameras, because I was watching the live draft on TV on ESPN, and they followed him off the stage, into the wings. They had a camera in front of him. It was like, how during the Oscars, sometimes they follow the people out and then we see them like talking to other people before they finally disappear. Yeah. That's exactly what happened on that one. For some reason, whoever the camera person was that had that side of the stage was shooting it while they were on stage, kind of hugging and talking. And then they continued it off stage.
Oh, okay.
And the
I didn't
camera
know that made the
up
TV.
another 10 feet and kept it on TV. They showed that whole thing with Caden McDonald, and not a lot of commentary. They were just like kind of letting it sit and just letting us take it in, so to speak. Cool. Cam Hayward giving some words and then just quiet and just let it happen. It was really, really fascinating to see that. And that was a really cool moment. I thought the other cool moment, and I don't know if you were up there. I'm trying to remember when it was toward later in the draft, when the Navy kid got
Landon Robinson.
That was cool.
Or the Steelers guy you're talking about.
Yes, correct.
Oh, right. Okay, that's a different
guy
one than
from
I was
Navy
saying.
who was drafted by the Steelers,
and he was there. Yes.
And
that was really cool.
Came out on the stage and did a whole thing. Well, you don't see that in the late rounds typically.
Right,
a player hanging around.
Definitely
just like
not.
you don't oftentimes see a guy in the second round like Cade McDonald. And that was a cool moment too. Just to, this guy, they told his whole backstory and his connection to Pittsburgh and everything. And so that was cool that they made that a story too. So I'm glad the NFL picked up on some of that stuff, and it's just not, only about first round things that they could see other potential stories brewing and then highlighted them and showcased them on television, because I think that it helps bring those kind of things to light. And
I got him, by the way. It is he was the 7th round pick, Eli Heidenreich, who comes from Navy, 6 foot flat, 198 pounds. He's a running back from Navy, and he has all these Navy records that will hold forever for all kinds of things he accomplished there. But he was in full naval uniform. Very special moment. He got to have something on the stage, and it was cool how they highlighted him. Like I saw he went on the ESPN draft set. He went above our head and was on there. He went out into the crowd. They have, like I said, this podium sort of built in where, fans can surround.
Halfway around it. Yeah, it was all the way out in the crowd.
Yeah, 100%.
The anthem was performed from on the first night.
Right, and T-shirt cannons, all kinds of stuff. So it was super cool. I love how they did that.
Very cool. They put on a great show. The draft is an unbelievable show, and you had a front row seat to it.
Yeah.
And if you watched it on television, you also had a front row seat to it, because we get to see anything and everything that's going on, and all these terrific camera angles and the drones and everything that they've added just makes it absolutely spectacular. And the fact that it was a gorgeous sunny day, those first 2 days, just showcased, those golden bridges and that beautiful skyline and everything that makes Pittsburgh, a really, really cool place these days. So that city got a really, really a great billboard, for what that city is all about. I'll answer one more here in the comments, Boy Green, before we
Okay.
wrap things up. This is a Syracuse question. Brother Yeti
Okay.
coming in with zero Syracuse players taken was depressing. Thoughts on 2027 prospects, Manchild? Brother Yeti, yes. First of all, the first part of your comment there, yes, it is depressing that this once very proud program is not regularly churning out, not just draft picks, but even, not even early round draft. I mean, there was a time when early round draft picks, it talked about going down and covering the draft for Donovan McNabb, covering the draft for Dwight Freeney when he was picked, like having those early moments where Syracuse players are not only being drafted, but they're being drafted prominently in the NFL draft. And it's been far too long. It really has been far too long. And the fact that, none were taken in 7 full rounds of an NFL draft with all those supplemental picks on top of it is kind of depressing. My thoughts on 2027 is this. These teams turn over so quickly now in college football because of NIL, because of everything that's happened to college football and college sports in general, that I don't have any thoughts on the 2027 prospects.
Well, I have one.
I think that I want to see what they do on the field. So many of them are just guys I've never seen before. A team that has so many new players that I don't know how the mix and the moxie is going to work in terms of how it's all going to go in the blender. So too early for me at this point, unfortunately, to have thoughts on 2027 prospects for the draft. I do hope and pray, frankly, that Syracuse has a few on this year's team that actually will show up for the draft next year.
So I pulled up the 2027 consensus board. That means the biggest media analysts in the world, all of their rankings
are already on their board.
Yeah, 100%.
Way too early draft board.
And the only one I wanted to see is because that's, I'm assuming Brother Yeti's question is there any hopeful for Syracuse players next year? And there's only one player that I see on the bingo card that is a top 50 player in this class. His name is Chris Peel. He is a cornerback for Syracuse, defensive back overall. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a sophomore. He is inside the top 50 of the consensus big board for the 2027 NFL draft, which would mean if he was selected where he is projected, he would be a second-round draft choice. So that's wonderful. That's high regard. So he is, as long as he comes out, highly projected to be selected. But obviously anything can happen in a college football season, things of that nature. But unfortunately, he's the only player I see on the consensus big board out of Syracuse. But sometimes players can come out of nowhere.
Correct. No
Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, all these players that were nothing, and then all of a sudden, boom, immediately jump on the page. So we'll see what happens with some of that.
If I went out right now, grabbed the microphone, went down to South Salina Street in the center of Syracuse, and just started stopping people, okay? Even ones with football jerseys on, even ones that have Syracuse logoed clothing, all right, that so many people around town. I said, Chris Peel. Who's Chris Peel? I guarantee you I'd be lucky if I could find a single soul that would know who the heck Chris Peel is. That is what college football and college sports has become.
NIL, yeah.
You don't know the players because nobody's staying 4 years anywhere anymore for the most part. There's no the tie into the team. It's just for 1 year, and you watch it, and you root for it, and then it just evaporates, and then you start all over the next year. It's just this constant. It's not what the sport once was. No, don't it's like scream old man on the porch, it was Manchild waxing poetic about the old days. All right. I'm just telling you, I just lament it. I don't like what it's become. And you asked for my thoughts about next year, and I said, I have no clue because I don't know. I got a whole new team. When I go see the team play and I get to see them in camp and I get to, read what some of the knowledgeable local writers are writing about, and then I might have a little more insight as to what the heck's going on with that team. I like Fran Brown and I like the moxie that he's brought and all this recruiting prowess, but the roster itself, I think it's an unknown to most fans. The spring game just happened like a couple of weeks ago. I swear to God, I live in this town. I barely even knew it happened. And I'm a sports guy. Cover sports in this town.
That's a good point. That's true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the spring game is this weekend. Huh? Oh, wow. Damn. Well, I guess I missed it. Like, seriously, like, this is what it's become. It's not good, Brother Yeti. So sorry I don't have a better answer for you. But I think it's just the nature of the sports. It doesn't mean we have to stop rooting for college football and all that kind of stuff, but I've said it time and time again in the last year as Boy Green and I have done this show. I'm down. I'm down on college sports right now. I'm still rooting for Syracuse basketball, Syracuse football, but I'm down on the whole college sports thing a bit. So just don't like where all this stuff is gone and how it has removed the fans from having genuine rooting interest in a team. You know,
Yeah.
Bud always used to say in the old days, you want to go back to the old days, old man on the porch talk, Bud would say, you're just rooting for laundry. All right? That's all it is. The whole thing is sports. You guys always picking on me. I'm not a fan. You're just rooting for laundry. Right? What they're wearing on their back. That's all. You're not rooting for players. You're not rooting for you're rooting for laundry. Just because it has an S on the front. That's it. You know, just because it has a J on the front. Just because it has a G on the front. That's all you're rooting for. You're not rooting for anything else. And we'd always push back on Bud on that. But in today's college sports landscape, Bud's vision is becoming closer and closer to the truth. That's the fact of the matter. That is the fact of the matter.
Seems that way.
Okay, well, that was a lot to unpack, but we got a lot of it in. We'll have plenty more on Wednesday. Matt Lombardo will be back, our NFL insider. We'll get his take on not only the Jets and the Giants and the Bills, but also anything else that he wants to bring up that came out of the draft. So pay attention to Matt. He is a terrific writer, and you can check out his stuff on Substack. You got his little link there, Paul.
Let's see. Yeah.
Throw it up when Matt's on the screen.
Sure.
There it is, Matt Lombardo, MattLombardoNFL.substack.com. All right, there's his direct link. He's terrific. He has already been writing stuff about the draft. So we'll talk with Matt about all things draft. Our new raffle is already underway. I will take some pictures of these giant Jim Boeheim life-size posters that are made of this vinyl material. And we'll have them ready for you Wednesday so you can see those two prizes, plus, again, the laser engraved 12th MC glass. So all that is going out this month for our monthly raffle. And again, you get tickets by super chats, super stickers, $3. Every $3 you contribute to the channel will become a raffle ticket automatically. If you're a member, you become a member, 2 raffle tickets automatically to join the 12th Manchild. If you join at higher levels, you incrementally get more tickets, up to 20 tickets if you do Hall of Fame level. And then you can also gift memberships as well. And depending on how many you gift, we'll give you some bonus raffle tickets. But generally, memberships are worth 2 apiece. But then you get to the 5 level, we'll bump it and double it. So there'll be lots of ways to contribute in that way. So we'll have more on the prizes on Wednesday's live show when Matt joins us. Any final thoughts, Boy Green? If you have them, now's the time.
Yeah, we'll have to split up. There's just a million stories I could tell about all kinds of things from the draft and other things of that nature. We could spread the butter over all of these future live shows that we'll be doing. I'm sure some of them will come out because I was with Jake at his party at McFadden. So I joined the show. We did a lot of fun stuff. So maybe we could sprinkle some of that in there too. So many more stories to come. But man, what an electric time. To your point, Lurch, I feel terrible. This was my first draft because now I'm like, oh, that's how all these drafts are supposed to go. Unlimited access and all this other stuff. And that's definitely not the case. This was a very special occasion.
All right. Fair enough. So now the draft is over. Now these players will play football and we'll get to see, were the talking heads right? Were we right? Were you right about who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, who's going to be somewhere in the middle? But always lots and lots of lightning rods, especially near the top of the draft. Did the Giants get a steal? Did the Jets make a mistake? Did the Jets get a steal? Did the Giants make a mistake? It's all up for grabs now. Now they play this game called football, and we get to see what they can do on the field of play and whether or not college players and their skill set translates to professional football. The biggest, the baddest, the fastest of them all. All right, that'll do it for a lovely, lovely Monday show. For Boy Green, Manchild signing off. Thanks to all of you for chiming in and paying attention and getting in the comments. We'll be back live on Wednesday. Our usual entourage of stuff this week. Inside the Jets, inside the Giants, inside the Bills, inside Syracuse basketball at the end of the week with Neil Adler again, inside the NBA with Sean Devaney as well. So a whole hodgepodge. And for all you nutty Survivor fans, we continue to do our Survivor recap show. Brett LaBelle, we're hoping he has recovered from his laryngitis that he had last week. We expect him back this Wednesday night live with us again. Until we see you on Wednesday, folks, everybody have a great week. Take care.